Muy feliz lunes. No crean que cambié la cámara ni tampoco, no he cambiado nada. El problema que estoy teniendo es que por alguna razón en mi computadora, en mi desktop, no me deja usar mi cámara, no me deja usar mi micrófono, dice que no hay nada conectado, pero está todo conectado. Entonces no tengo idea. Entonces abrí este directo justamente por acá. Bienvenidos a mi canal. Soy Alejandro Salomón, CEO y jefe de la mesa directiva de salomundo.com, ¿no? No les mama a la gente que tiene que contarnos a todos, ¿no? Que eso, güey, soy el CEO de mi propia empresa, es muy importante eso. Si solamente tenemos un empleado, se llama Juanito y lava los baños, entonces soy un CEO muy importante. Cuando ves a gente que es CEO y tiene que ser CEO a toda costa, corre, güey, corre. Siempre resultan ser las peores personas, no tengo ni idea por qué. Feliz lunes a todos ustedes, espero que estén teniendo un excelente inicio de semana. Bienvenidos al Casino del Tío Salo. Ahorita ya saben, como siempre, vamos a estar platicando de absolutamente todas las cosas relacionadas con el mundo de trading. Vamos a analizar el precio de Bitcoin, vamos a analizar todo lo que nos manda acá toda la gente en la comunidad de Elite Trading Academy. Discúlpenme, voy a estar un poco por todos lados en este momento porque no tengo idea qué es lo que puedo, dónde estoy, qué. ¿Ok? Es bastante confuso tener dos. En realidad tengo tres monitores enfrente de mí. Me siento como esos güeyes que te anuncian, hola, ¿quieres aprender a tradear Forex? Que de cierta forma me estoy burlando de alguien que hace más o menos lo que yo. Wow, qué estúpido soy, ¿no? En fin, vamos a iniciar esto como se debe. He estado por ahí metiendo el dedo en lo que, en donde no debo, ¿no? He estado por ahí analizando el mercado de bienes raíces todavía por acá en Los Ángeles y, bueno, toda el área de donde yo vivo, no Los Ángeles. Y los precios siguen bastante planos altos, no se mueve tanto como en Texas que estamos viendo en Florida y todos estos lados. Y solamente quiero decirles esto, tenemos cosas muy importantes pasando esta semana para todos ustedes que extrañen datos de volatilidad, etcétera. Y la razón por qué es porque, uno, tenemos el anuncio finalmente del PIB el día de mañana, también tenemos la reunión del FED, tenemos reportes de empleos, tenemos reportes de empresas. Literalmente esta semana va a ser una explosión de estupideces que vayan a pasar con el mercado y va a ser volátil, va a estar muy divertido, pero si estás preparado. Si no quieres estar preparado en la computadora todo el día y es hacerle a la mamada, güey, tómate un descanso, no tienes por qué estar tradeando, etcétera. Es de todas maneras, es verano, llévatela tranquilo, por eso tengo este tan de perro de salchicha de perro. Entonces, va a ser una semana con muchísimas cosas ocurriendo. Continúo en mi mismo plan. Estamos a punto de llegar a la fase final que he visto hasta adelante, que es nos anuncian el PIB, todo va a estar muy bien. Tenemos Junta de la Reserva Federal. Jerome Powell nos dice, no podemos bajar tipos, el PIB está con todo, la economía americana está arrasando, no puede ser más fuerte y todas estas cosas divinas que siempre nos cuentan. Y ahora aquí viene el check de realidad y la última vez que les digo esto, esta es la última advertencia a esto. Eh, Cuando estoy yo buscando también propiedades y estoy teniendo todas estas juntas, me están diciendo, casi todos los que enseñan casas, te dicen, güey, no te preocupes, los intereses los van a bajar, compra la casa en tal cual como lo tengas y los intereses van a bajar después. Esto es algo que le habían prometido a la gente hace cuántos años y cuántos de ustedes me han estado chingue y jode, deberían comprar casa, los intereses van a bajar y puedo refinanciar. No ha pasado y toda la gente que compró casas con esa promesa y que les dieron un rate bite down, que ¿eso qué quiere decir? Que si compraste una casa de un constructor como Lennard Homes, por ejemplo, aquí en Estados Unidos, te dicen, güey, en vez de pagar 7% de intereses, el primer año pagas 5, el segundo año pagas 6 y el tercero ya pagas tus 7. Y ya hay gente llegando a ese tercer año que no le alcanzan esos pagos. ¿Ok? Y ahora van a decir todos ustedes, pero Alejandro, ya viene el recorte de intereses. ¿No se dan cuenta que esta narrativa gigantesca que ha sido fabricada por literalmente a través de estos últimos 5 años se trata de bajar esos intereses? Y de cuando bajen los intereses, todas estas cosas hermosas van a pasar. Y mientras tanto, todo el mundo se está endeudando como loco más y más y más y no tienen control sobre sus gastos y todo el mundo está quedándose sin nada con una deuda gigantesca, una tarjeta de crédito enorme, comprando casas que no les alcanza tampoco y pensando que cuando vayan a bajar tipos que les va a convenir y que esto les va a funcionar muy bien, pero la realidad es muy diferente a lo que te cuenta todo el mundo. Si todo el mundo está esperando, y recuerda, la gente no está educada económicamente hablando y financieramente hablando para nada. La gente está repitiendo lo que están viendo en las noticias. Y eso es lo mejor que puedes hacer, es entender básicamente eso. Porque nadie es un gurú de bienes raíces, nadie es un gurú de intereses bajos, nadie es un gurú de refinanciamiento, nadie. Esto literalmente ha sido una absorción de información tan tonta que nos ha llegado a todos de golpe, que literalmente vemos segmentos en CNN o un video de YouTube y ya somos expertos. Y no quiero sacar mi tarjeta de presentación de soy el CEO de también las inversiones de Alejandro Salomón en todas sus propiedades, etcétera, donde absolutamente la rompimos. Entramos 2010, salimos 2020 como campeones de todo lo que es comercial y residencial, salimos 2022 en el tope en Texas. Y digo esto es algo que no sé por qué siempre he puesto atención a, y todo el mundo los están llevando al matadero a todos, a todos, a todos, a todos, a todos, con esta promesa de bajada de intereses. El peor escenario económico, y esto no va de acuerdo a mi predicción que les he dado, que nos van a declarar recesión y de ahí van a hacer algo, esto es un peor escenario todavía económico, es dejan esto solamente correr por 2, 3 años más. El daño que ha causado esto a toda la gente que no tiene dinero. Sí, siempre les había contado, ¿no? Les hago vean cómo está creciendo la diferencia entre la gente que tiene dinero y el que no tiene dinero y estos gaps tan gigantescos, etcétera. Lo he dicho por un rato, llevo 5 años aburriéndolos con eso, pero es una realidad muy grande que yo nunca en mi vida había visto a este grado, donde a la gente no le alcanza para comer en McDonald's, no pueden ir a comprar cosas en el súper, no les alcanza para comer básicamente, están endeudados hasta el culo. Nunca había visto esto a este grado, donde coches que cuestan $2,000 no se están vendiendo, donde todo está parado para ese tipo de cliente. Y eso es algo que también me di cuenta. Mi tipo de rival económico tiene todavía mucho dinero. Estamos todos todavía parados aquí. Y la gente de encima de mi rival económico tiene tanto dinero que no se les va a acabar. Pero la gente debajo de nosotros, y yo creo que todo el escalón para abajo, está en la mierda, tío, en la mierda. Y todos esperando que vayan a cambiar esto con la tasa de intereses, etcétera, están muy equivocados. Porque lo que estamos viendo es, ya tenemos niveles de inventario en bienes raíces mucho más altos de los que habíamos visto antes de que empezara la pandemia. Y ahora, cuando agregas que van a bajar tipos, la gente no va a refinanciar. Una gran cantidad de gente está atrapada en sus préstamos de coches y de casas. Y esta gente va a querer todos al mismo tiempo salirse de esa propiedad, sea el coche o la casa, y va a intentar comprar otra cosa, pero lo que va a causar eso es una inundación de inventario que no te puedo explicar. Donde ya existe esta inundación de inventario, vas a una agencia de Ford, una agencia de Jeep, una de Stellantis, vas a todas estas agencias, tíos, están llenas hasta el tope. Hasta el tope. Mi sector todavía está moviendo cosas. La gente en la escalonata donde estoy económicamente hablando, todavía esos güeyes tienen dinero. Y los de arriba de nosotros, verga cuánto dinero tienen, está cabrón. Y todos los de abajo están, pero perdidos. Y esto es la última vez. Les están intentando vender algo que no es cierto. Te están intentando atrapar en una trampa de deuda, tío. Sea con un préstamo de un coche, con tarjetas de crédito, con algo de una casa. Si compras, y esto se los he dicho y no ha cambiado nada, si compras una casa esperando a que bajen los intereses, estás cometiendo un error gigantesco. Los intereses solo bajan cuando hay problemas. Y cuando bajan porque hay problemas, eso quiere decir que no se va a poder vender tu propiedad, tío. Y vas a tener que bajar de precio. Eso es como funcionan los ciclos económicos. No hay más magia, no hay tanto, no hay más show. Es literalmente como funciona y les han enseñado muy bien, pero muy mal. Honestamente, tengo que aplaudírselo a los viejitos. Otra cosa que ha funcionado perfecto de todo lo que están haciendo es, han podido convencer a todos ustedes y a toda la gente que escribe libros económicos que van a imprimir un chingo de dinero y que los van a rescatar a todos. Díganme cuántos de ustedes tienen ese sentimiento o están esperando. Por favor, díganme en los comentarios de abajo, ¿cuántos de ustedes están esperando a que bajen los tipos y que por alguna razón fluya dinero una vez más a sus manos y que vaya a haber una impresión de dinero grande? ¿Cuántos de ustedes lo están esperando? Y no sería la puta el tope de la ironía de todo lo que hacen estos güeyes que eso nunca llegue, que literalmente continúen tal cual y muchos de ustedes dirán, pero ¿cómo? Si está destruyendo a la clase baja. Y Han estado destruyendo los negocios de clase media y clase baja desde el 2020 agresivamente para poder llevarnos a ese futuro de Demolition Man. Lo han hecho, donde todos los negocios van a ser literalmente de Meta, de Google, de Elon Musk y de otros 3 pendejos. Y ya, van a tener todo. Todo, todo, todo. ¿A quién le suena que le importe a alguien el plan de la gente que no tiene dinero y que les van a imprimir para mandarles dinero? La razón por la que están haciendo todas estas estupideces y subiéndole tanto el volumen a todas las estupideces que está haciendo Donald Trump, todas las estupideces que está haciendo la presidenta en México, todas las estupideces que está haciendo Ursula von der Leyen en Europa, todas las estupideces que están haciendo todos en todo el mundo, la razón por la que no para el flow de noticias es para que la gente no tenga tiempo de platicar de qué en la mierda están y que se den cuenta de que literalmente no va a haber salvador. No cometan el error, no te endeudes. Es la peor cosa que puedes hacer en este momento si lo puedes evitar. La peor, la peor, la peor. Por más que te cuenten, porque piénsalo, es una narrativa creada de que ya van a bajar tipos. Eso es una narrativa creada. ¿Por qué? Si los mismos datos que ellos te están dando son fuertes, ¿por qué van a bajar tipos? Y continúan poniéndote la zanahoria enfrente. ¿Por qué? Para que gastes, para que te endeudes, para que sigas comprando estupideces que no te alcanzan y para que literalmente te quedes con nada y seas un esclavo, porque a fin de cuentas eres un esclavo. A alguien le debes todo ese dinero y ese alguien, sean los bancos, sea el préstamo estudiantil, lo que sea, va a venir a cobrar. Y cuando venga a cobrar y no tengas dinero, ¿qué es lo que le queda? Tú. Entonces, por favor, no caigan en estas tonterías, entiendan que es propaganda, no va a haber una gran impresión de dinero, no cuenten con ello para salvarte, o sea, piensen por favor, eso solo ha ocurrido una vez en la historia. En toda esta historia moderna, solamente han imprimido dinero para mandar a tu casa y que te quedes en casa una vez. Y es lo que todo el mundo está esperando vuelva a pasar otra vez, porque no tenemos memorias a largo plazo, porque no nos acordamos de nada y porque nos están metiendo esos mensajes en la tele y en YouTube todo el día. Toda esta gente paquera que continúa y gente que escribe libros diciéndote esto. Es solamente preocupante. Quiero verlas a todos absolutamente rompiéndola y no quiero ver a todos ustedes siendo castigados por cometer un error muy estúpido que es tan transparente y tan obvio, pero la mayor cantidad de gente está cayendo en él, porque una vez más, no, ver 2 segmentos de CNN o a tu youtuber favorito de economía, eso no te vuelve un experto en bienes raíces ni en lo que va a pasar con él. Literalmente va a pasar lo contrario que todo el mundo. Si ya por 3 años les he dicho, no caigan en el que compra casa ahorita porque después no van a bajar los tipos y esa gente ya está perdiendo sus casas. Una vez más, es el nivel debajo de nuestro escalón económico. Toda esa gente está en la mierda. Siguen esperando a que venga el tío Jerome Powell a darle su limosnita. No se las va a dar. No se las va a dar. Y están intentando hacer que esto suba lo más alto posible en la cadena para que toda la gente que tiene también no tenga. Están intentando absorber todo esto para poder crear una clase de gente como en China. En realidad no tengo que irme más lejos de esto. No sé cuántos de ustedes sepan, pero en China hay productos, coches de lujo, departamentos de lujo y todo tiene un impuesto súper alto. Y dices, güey, ¿cómo la gente puede hacerse rica para pagar eso? No puede. Es la burbuja de la gente que ya es rica y todos los demás en la mierda. Y toda esa gente tiene excesos y vive como su puta madre y todos los demás no. Vamos a eso. Vamos a eso. Están construyendo por alguna razón ese tipo de sociedad acá, donde todos van a tener una mierda de casa, una mierda de productos, una mierda de servicios, una mierda de todo, y la gente que tiene va a tener excesos. Entonces, no caigas en esto de la deuda, no caigas en esto que te van a bajar los intereses. Ya llevo 3 años diciéndoles que esto no va a funcionar, continuamos aquí y la gente todavía cree que va a pasar. Si después de 3 años de decirles que esto no está pasando y ahora estamos viendo a la gente yéndose a tener que vender su casa porque les habían dado un descuento en los intereses que duró solamente 3 años y ya esa misma gente está desesperada y tiene que salirse de su casa, pero nadie va a comprar las casas. Entendamos, esto toma años en darse, años, y lo peor que puede pasar es que esto continúe por muchos más años. Así que pongamos atención por acá, les voy a traer a Alex Farhan, pero antes que nada también los quiero invitar, y aquí es donde voy a hacerme bolas, ¿ok? Quiero que lo sepan, lo voy a decir desde el principio. Déjenme ver, estoy en StreamYard, ok. Es Es que tengo 2 computadoras en la mano. Entonces, no te equivoques, Alejandro. Listo. Les quiero invitar a nuestro Discord si es que les interesa hacer trading, aprender a invertir a largo plazo también. Esto ayuda muchísimo. Cáiganle a nuestro Discord, es absolutamente gratuito. Está aquí abajo en la descripción. Tenemos todos los menús del lado izquierdo. Es bastante fácil de usar, aunque es nefasto. Aquí están todos los análisis del buen Alex, todos los análisis del buen Farhan. También tienes acá nuestros anuncios. Criptolingo. Criptolingo es bueno para cualquier abreviación que estén viendo cosas que no entiendan, y lo tenemos en inglés y en español. General, vénganse a nuestro chat general, por supuesto. Es siempre bueno poder compartir ideas con gente que hace lo mismo que ustedes, con diferentes ideas y diferentes puntos de vista. También caigan a compartir cuánto dinero están haciendo o perdiendo. Felicidades, mi estimado Gato Mion. Pues el Gato Mion está haciendo más dinero que todo el mundo en este momento. Se comió a Tomatito. ¿Qué le pasó a Tomatito? ¿Qué le pasó a Tomatito? Esa es la pregunta. 1000% en este trade de Solana. Gato Mion, ¿eres Tomatito? Absorbiste a Tomatito 1300%, no seas mamón. Felicidades, de verdad, bien, bien por ustedes, cabrones. Qué chingón verlos romperla de esta forma. Si quieres tradear futuros con nosotros también, puedes hacerlo directamente en nuestro sitio web. Hay un tutorial súper sencillo de usar. Te metes en Tutos, es gratis también. Vas a picar cómo tradear en Bluffing. Te va a enseñar cómo es usar estos exchanges de futuros, que básicamente todos funcionan igual. Este es Bluffing en específico, donde tradeamos criptomonedas, Bitcoin, Solana, Ethereum, cualquier cosa estúpida que te imagines y que la comunidad esté tradeando. Aquí lo puedes hacer. Un video de 5 minutos te enseña cómo fondear tu cuenta, cómo abrir una cuenta, cómo mandar dinero de un lugar a otro y cómo abrir un corto, un largo, etcétera. Y acá tienes el enlace directo. También tenemos un enlace aquí abajo para ustedes, para que vayas a Bluffing y puedas hacer lo mismo. Y también para BTCC. BTCC es como esto, pero tiene también acciones tokenizadas como Amazon, AMD, Google, Nvidia y cualquier otra acción que te imagines, y también Forex. Así que tienes los dos, aquí lo tienes, súper fácil, y todo esto es absolutamente gratis al alcance de sus manos, damas y caballeros. Voy a traer estos gallos y empecemos con todo esto. My boys, good morning.
Yo, good morning.
Buenos días, muchachos. Goku here
This
this time
is-
instead of
I
Garlic
love
Bread.
it. I love it. I fucking absolutely love the shirt. The moment I saw it, I was like, God damn it, I need one. I bought one in Japan that was the size of a child. I don't understand why. I was fat as fuck when I went to Japan, so I don't understand what I was thinking, but hey,
People are
good
very
for
small.
me.
Japanese
Yeah.
people are cool, though. I feel like a giant being there.
Oh, I bet. Oh, dude, especially, yeah, you're tall. I'm average. I'm 5'11", and I still felt tall in Japan, which is crazy.
Oh,
It's
I'm a
like going to
midget. I'm
Mexico.
5'9".
I think midgety starts getting below 5'7" for men. 5'9" is still good. 5'9" is still good. Midgety, like short heights, 5'7" below, that's when he starts to look funny for guys. We're safe.
I look like I'm
We're
5'7", walking next to Alex.
Well, yeah, that's also by comparison. It's a big problem. That's why you never show your dick in a party. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
the
know if
reason.
that's a real. I don't know. I don't know if it's a real law or not. But you know what? Let's go look at this Bitcoin and see what's going on with the Bitcoin. Now, Donald Trump, dude, we're getting GDP numbers tomorrow. Volatility this week is going to be insane, by the way. So this is something we got to keep in mind. We have the GDP getting announced tomorrow. We have the Fed meeting. We have CPI. We have job data. We have many companies reporting. So this week is going to be volatility to the team.
We've been waiting for GDP too, I feel like. So that's going to be quite important, actually, incoming. So
yeah. So Jerome can use it and say, how can I cut rates when the U.S. economy is growing so strong? Y'all should put all of your money in here. And that's what I'm waiting for. What do we got there?
That could be what gives us the final exit pump.
I know. I hope so. That'd be so dead on. Like, that'd be crazy.
It would, though, because that is exactly what, you boys have been actually talking about in confluence with those GDP numbers. So I'm very interested to see the reaction on that. Today, though, we actually have an interesting overall setup that we're actually getting activated right now. Right now, I'm watching this area to hold on Bitcoin, literally where it's at right now. So we had market open currently. We always get, the first, in my opinion, 15 minutes to 30 minutes of market open often isn't the true moves. And rather you just get that volatility. specifically on Monday too. So I want to see how markets are going to digest that into the next, and into the next hour, of course. But I'm watching specifically the 12-hour EMA 9. This is very easy to me. I want to see essentially this. This was the trend shift, right? Major lower high, lower low. You then broke that. You're then gauging a higher low. It should logically come at this 12-hour EMA 9. And this fake out here, right? ANSI bears are going to be looking at this as a breakdown. But it's actually not a confirmed breakdown because you're not even under support, while also volatility is back to reset mode. So into today, I'm watching to see if this 12-hour EMA 9 will hold, leading to potentially another retest of $120,000. We talked about $120,000 kind of being the spot that if you really want to gauge a new all-time high on Bitcoin, it's going to really start first at getting above $120,000. We were looking here when we were rallying up, and again, you just couldn't break that, couldn't even reach that zone here. And this solidified resistance massively before, going all the way down to the $115,000 region. So today's going to be quite important, in my opinion. You like Alejandro mentioned, you're going to have a lot of volatility into today, this week. A lot of degens pre-positioning, being predictive. Rather, we just want to play what we know. And so far, in my opinion, this is still in bullish posturing. You do have kind of a fresh trend shift here. So logically, you would want to kind of see this zone provide a bounce. What you wouldn't want to see is, let's say the 12-hour 9 gets lost, while then also deviating this, meme line, simple meme line here. But so far, granted, it has been holding. I mean, even look how well those 12-hour candles were rejecting it, broke out, retested. Even on this, let's say, back test, you only back tested the meme line, but not actually the 12-hour EMA 9. So now you would be looking at this as, finally done. And now you'd kind of want to start seeing bulls take more control, take you up to the range highs around $120,000. It's kind of what I'm watching into today. So again, just an easy system using the 12-hour EMA 9. Some use the 5 perfectly fine. I like personally using the 9. I think there's less chop around it. And granted, that system does work well. You just need volatility, right? You saw that work well here when you lost it, reclaimed, long breakout. So it really can be that easy. The only way it doesn't work is, once you get just chop. Chop often leads to volatility compression, which then leads to the expansion of that. That's all chop really is. Really, when you form a range and you're chopping, you're often just contracting volatility. And that's often the most important time to pay attention, which is often the time when no one pays attention, when people sign up, because, chop is boring. You were around the end of the bear market. That was the worst time when you were getting 0.2% moves for weeks. So let's look at the daily now, because again, is the daily really bearish? Well, not really. No, I mean, you just look like you simply reclaimed the daily 9. You came down. Of course, you're going to throw it back. All those aggressive longs need to get punished. There's no free lunch in this game. And even the meme line traders here aren't going to just get an easy trade on the meme line. But now this is just kind of giving me confluence of my idea that, yeah, I need to start seeing bulls step in today, specifically before the close, holding this essentially daily EMA 9, leading to a potentially 120,000, if not at a new all-time high. Because the HBDR on the daily is looking quite interesting to me. If you simply hold this zone, you are getting the next target around 123,800, which technically is a new all-time high. So technically speaking, this could be the zone that is going to take you to a new all-time high. And that would make a lot of sense when volatility is heavily contracted. And you now freshly have a 12-hour trend shift. Again, it makes sense to have a bullish bias into today. But understand that once you start losing, the bias, which is, the 12-hour EMA 9 system, losing the daily median mixed in with the daily 9, sprinkle on losing the meme line, then yeah, you could have here a potential setup that's going to fire off to the downside. But as it stands now, this still is looking very bullish. I'm honestly going into today as a bull. and I'm already pre-positioned right around this zone. And I talked about that on the Discord last night. So, after this, even now, Farin, you could technically even post an Academy long here, play the daily 9, have your stop loss simply here. And then we can front run that stop loss if you start losing that daily 9. But in my opinion, this looks pretty good to go for an Academy long. So anyone watching that now is kind of getting that freebie. It's going to look something like this. Something like that. Now you're already technically filling, right? It's perfectly fine. Again, the stop would be looked at as wide, as like per my other trades, right? But not really, actually. You're risking less than 1% to make 4, if not more. Because, if let's say we went up to an all-time high, right? That would actually have implications for the 5-day, flipping back in favor of bulls and actually firing off to the upside, potentially giving us that 30% move to the upside, which would mean that if we did get that move to the upside, you're actually playing in potentially a 35 to 40% move. And that plays in nicely around 160,000 to potentially all the way up to $166,000 on Bitcoin. So in theory, I mean, technically, if you do start breaking this high, I mean, it's really going to start looking like Bitcoin is going to do a combustion action. That's why we could start even trailing that TP, moving it up as we start breaking levels. But as it stands, the Academy can easily get along up to, in my opinion, this high. The stop loss simply can be this, like I mentioned yesterday, July 26th low. And now, in theory, this should lead to a spring and up. So hopefully that will get posted. If not, I'll post it after this. And yeah, if you're watching this now, I am going to be looking at that as a pretty easy, simple system long. If, of course, we're actually going to get that move to the upside. Now, the 2-day is interesting to me because most would look at this and say, well, this looks very bearish, right? You're under the 2-day median. You're potentially about to form a terrible candle, basically a wick high rejection. But for me, I'm still gauging this as kind of giving me confluence of my idea, which is we need to break $120,000 for the fund to begin. And until we actually break that, it's just going to be solid resistance. But that can at least give me a sobering perspective. Let's say if we start actually getting a bounce, I just know that, yeah, 120,000 is solid resistance. And therefore, before we do start actually talking about a new all-time high, this is going to be the first objective to actually start reclaiming on any time frame, in my opinion. The 2-day would just be nice, but you are still above that 2-day EMA 9. You're just kind of in the gray zone per se on the HBDR, where yeah, you could go up to that 38.2% on the bottom. You could retest the median. For me now, I do just want to start seeing that median get hit because you actually haven't even tested it since you opened below it. You see that $126,000 number come up, we saw on the daily, you're seeing it on the 5-day. This 5-day really doesn't look too bad to me. Now, there's still a day and 10 hours left, but it really isn't looking the worst. I mean, this kind of got bought up nicely. If, let's say, you did push up to $120,000 again, this candle would actually look quite insane, would it not? So it looked like it swept all the lows, got bought up, about to put in an insane hammerhead, which would You boys hear me? Let's see here. Yeah, I think you guys can hear me. Mexico things, our power went out. Let me check the chat real quick. Okay, perfect. No worries. I'm Farin. You can go to the living room. I have my hotspot on. The point I'm trying to bring home is I'm in bullish posturing right now. I do think today has the potential to put in a new high, and I do want to look at this zone as a zone to get bought up. Ideally, Farin has posted that Bitcoin long on the Academy. If he has not yet, I hopefully we're all watching and paying attention. This is the spot to start looking, for longs if you are potentially going to go that route today. And a new high today would absolutely not surprise me. Specifically, when you have all that data, it's like the degens are going to be predictive and they're going to try to, that's it, just be predictive and that will bring volatility. So just be aware of that. Watch $120,000. Understand that you are at a major bounce zone now. And Bitcoin for me is looking primed to go up to $126,000 if and when we reclaim 120,000. Now let's see the weekly here. And again, same thing. Visually, not really looking the best. Potentially looking like a weekly wick high rejection. Could really go heavy if this flips red. But the point here is like, that's the idea behind bears. That still isn't really technically looking bearish though. This was a nice buyback candle. You're nicely above the weekly median. You're healthily above the EMA 9. Let's give bears the benefit of the doubt and check the EMA 5. Oh, wow, yeah, you're even healthily above that. So are you technically bearish? Not really, no. And even this HBDR view is saying you're going to get a green dildo party all the way up to $135,000. So statistically speaking, even here on the weekly, you are still more bullish than bearish. And again, that just has to be, really thought and pointed out when you do have a massive 5-day BBWP setup firing off as we speak. Now, though, luckily the power did go back on. So, I mean, it shut off, went back on. Hopefully my hotspot works. I'll just keep running it on that and then reconnect to the Wi-Fi because we did finally get extenders. So we should have no more Wi-Fi issues. And then lastly, the 2-week. Look at this. I mean, definition of bullish, really. Nice, beautiful 2-week retest of the median. Ideally now going to turn into a spring and move you all the way up to the top side of the 38.2%. Now, in theory, this could shift down a little bit. You could see that go all the way to 126,000 to 130,000. But still, even on this perspective, it still is very bullish, very, very, very bullish. And you actually are now about to, for the first time since November, right? For the first time since November, confirm a 2-week volatility setup. These are the big ones. I mean, this 2-week one, I mean, let's just mark off all the times it's fired off. Hasn't been that many. So boom, boom. We've already done this before. Let's check the reaction of that. Let's turn the LGBTQFA chart off. Let's go here, right? A pivotal moment when Bitcoin went from 69,000 to over 100K. Amazing time when we had here that beautiful breakout in early 2024, going from 45,000 all the way up to 76,000. Then here, right, the bear market lows, going from, that consolidation period where you're just holding that $25,000 all the way up to that $47,000 mark. The point is, this is a really big setup. Bears want this to fire off to the downside leading into the bear market, in my opinion. Bulls are just waiting patiently, stacking, their stats as they say, buying Bitcoin and just waiting for a new all-time high. And granted, so far that has been working out this entire bull market because you are in still a bull market. And so, you just need to be cognizant of, yes, you very easily can flip bear here, but everything still is looking quite bullish to me, and it still is looking like a major move is brewing, which does give us honestly confluence of Alejandro and Farin's idea of a blow off top potentially on those GDP numbers. August, I do believe, is going to be the month. Now, we did say that in July you'd start seeing it. Now, granted, I don't think that was totally wrong. I mean, July's gone up pretty nicely, but I do think you're going to see potentially a 15% move in August, up or down. Excuse me. So, that's kind of what's cooking here on Bitcoin. It's still looking very bullish. Bulls are still in control. And that's why today is going to be quite important to really watch carefully to see kind of where we close and what the reaction will be on that daily. Because again, we will say this, weekend pumps aren't really the best, specifically Sunday pumps. Those aren't really the best. It's like, it's just more scammy in nature. You often get that, CME open pump gets everyone bullish, and then New York opens, you just totally erase that. But still, you would be anyways looking for a pullback. That shouldn't surprise anyone. And now it's just a matter of, is this going to hold, or is this just going to be a massive trap scenario? Again, if you start losing on a daily close called $118,000, right? We've been saying that above $118,000, bullish. So if you lose $118,000, no reason at all to run the stop loss. Just cut the trade and look for a short potentially. What was I going to look at here? Oh, right. Let's look at the 4 hour. Let's see where we're at in the lower time frames now. So the 4 hour, yeah, again, not looking the best, but still at support. Still has an hour and 47 minutes, and you are now at the 4 hour median, maybe a little lower. Maybe you go and test that 4 hour EMA 34. But again, I mean, like, this still is looking quite bullish. You haven't even lost the 4 hour EMA 9 yet. This has just simply gone down, retested support. Let's check the hourly here. What a coincidence. You are at the hourly EMA 100. On the flip side, you are in bear, you're breaking down technically, right? You're under the 38.2%. This is an hourly though. So you're not going to get the biggest moves, but that is still the hopium for bears. You're in a breakdown here. The hopium for bulls is that you're at major support. So you either are going to hold this EMA 100, right? And you're potentially going to see this consolidate, shift these ranges more down, and then have maybe another shot at 118,800. Or yeah, this will just end up breaking down. You will end up losing that EMA 100. But simply, you can either look at the EMA 200, right? If you don't like using, let's say, an SMA 200, which I don't like using that for lower time frames. Some people do. But then it just makes a lot of sense. You lose that EMA 100, you'll go to the 200. And that is at basically $118,000. There's no reason to be a perma bear if you're above $118,000. And so even the lower time frames here are showing that right now the hopium is this. Hourly broke down, bearish retest, breakdown, and Bitcoin is just about to break down hard. So if you don't end up seeing that and you rather start seeing consolidation, hitting it again, flash dump, bought up, that's just in nature going to turn bullish, put in bullish structure and go up. So like bears, it's kind of like today actually, bears kind of want to see this breakdown, and bulls are just looking for a new high in my opinion. Today's going to be quite important. Everything's looking kind of primed for that in my opinion. See how that 3 days now. You know what? Let's look at CME. Because why is everything looking like it's either major breakdown or major breakout? Well, how did CME close on the weekly? Well, you had a potential major top candle on the weekly here on CME. The objective now will just simply be breaking this high or breaking down. So that is why, really, there's a battle here. It's the bull and bear battle. We sound like nerds when we say that, but it's fine. It's true. Right? It's just like, okay, this is, I mean, is it really looking bearish? Not really. No, not really, actually. And again, that's just using wick highs and wick lows. It's not really like you know, you don't have to be a genius. And what you're having potentially, what I'm seeing on CT is this CME gap. It must be filled. It must be filled. Well, it actually doesn't have to be filled right now. And that could just be the bait for shorts. So, you know, the point I'm really trying to bring home is today we'll actually really be able to understand which direction Bitcoin's going to move. Until we actually start losing, let's say, the hourly EMA 100, the daily EMA 9, and the 12-hour EMA 9 mixed in with $118,000, I just think it's premature to be bearish here. I think that, you know, the fact that even CME right now is green while spot is red, there's a premium. I'm telling me that, you know, people are buying Bitcoin right now. There is spot buying, and that is bullish. And so I'm going to be looking at this as a long area. I'm going to be, if Farn hasn't posted that long yet, I'm going to have that Academy long posted, because I do think that this is a day 2 position. This to me is just looking very bullish, and I'll easily know where I'm wrong on that. But still, I just want to be gauging that as what it is. So today we'll be able to quickly know what will happen. But even this 2 days still in breakout mode. So, you know, that is CME. We'll go back to the index, what we like. And yeah, can I see anything else before we go to tether dominance? Let's see if we have any silver crosses. Let me delete this Picasso drawing. Right at the edge, right at the edge. Very well could see this breakdown, test that 2-hour EMA 100, which most likely lines up with that 1-hour EMA 200. Oh, look at that. Funny. Okay. Icky Vicky, for sure. Not the best candle. But again, I mean, you still are, if you are a bear, I'd be looking at this as maybe a bearish retest. Then you break down. I just don't believe we're just going to do this. This is what everyone wants, just forever. Like Capo just simply wants this. So it's just funny. Like, that's not how markets really work. The black swan of the black swan of the black swan. But the thing about black swans is they're often not really predictive, because then they're not black swans. But I guess
the literal definition of a black swan event is something that cannot be predicted.
Yeah.
By chance did that Bitcoin long out?
I was waiting for the stop loss.
Oh, I didn't even know that. We're going to be using, I'll go back to the daily here. The stop loss for me is logical if we just use this wick low, which is the number 117,100. It makes sense to me to use this wick low. I don't think we can run that fully. I think we can front run that on the daily close. But again, this is kind of like, I'm going to even add to the long here right now. This still is just looking bullish. You're now getting, you know, you're now more than almost an hour into the market open. So I want to start seeing bulls pick up here soon. But yeah, that's kind of the stop loss you can use, 117,100. And then the TP will simply be, well, if we reclaim 120,000, I want to see 126,000. But right, we don't want to predict an all-time high. So rather, let's just play level to level. TP1 can be 122,000. Break that, cool. Then we get our 126,000 TP, which again lines up nicely with the daily. Or yeah, daily.
The entry was the median, right?
Entry is the daily 9 all the way down to the 12-hour EMA 21. Basically, you can use 118,300 all the way to 118, if that makes sense. 118,000. Yeah.
All right, I think I fixed this bullshit. You guys can hear me fine?
Yeah.
Yeah, way smoother.
Oh, holy shit. My God. What a stupid fucking day. I'm sorry. Oof.
It's like technology knows when you need it to work, and that's when it decides not to work.
Yeah, and it makes me think, like, why didn't I just test it before? Because it's such a simple program. Like, it's so stupid. I'm sorry. I had no idea what was going on, but I just restarted fucking everything over and over
We
again, and it
got
just
we
worked.
got extremely lucky because something like that was expected to happen. Our landlord messaged us saying this entire area of Mexico is not going to have power from 7:30 in the morning to 2:30 p.m. So we were planning on like moving from here and streaming somewhere else. We woke up in the morning and it was on.
All right, Mexico. Let's go.
Yeah, to go. I know.
Sorry, Alex. All you. I apologize. I'm here with Scott.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
good.
right. It's Monday. GDP is going to be great, guys. Oh, crypto's going to go to the moon. I know it. All right. I'm going to go.
Thanks, Scott.
Yeah,
All right, thanks,
appreciate
Alex. Sorry.
No worries at all. You know, always happy to hear Scott. That's his heart. And yeah, you know, so we're gonna have to see really closely what's gonna happen today. You know, obviously you are getting that move down on Bitcoin. So, you know, obviously it's not looking good to long, but it's why it's gonna really come down to the daily. The daily is going to be quite important. So let's go to tether dominance now. Let's see what's good with this. And currently, we are still in breakdown posturing. The weekly did reset the BBWP potentially. It's in contraction mode, volatility. But I mean, this still is just not really looking the best. The hopium is that you're going to get finally the bounce. It's going to retest the weekly EMA 9. But I really wouldn't even want to see that. I don't really want to see this wick high get taken out, personally. I want to actually see somewhat of a rejection around here. So you could even put in an argument of like this, and then like this. That would actually be quite nice. But again, that's just tinfoil hat idea. Technically speaking, you do have a chance of going all the way up to the weekly EMA 9, which again then would be questionable because you'd be taking out that wick high. So just be aware of that. That is the objective here. But then 5 days just kind of choppy. Still 5-day BBWP firing off heavily in bear territory. And why is it heavily in bear territory? Well, you're under the weekly, you're under the 5-day 9. I believe you have a 5-day silver cross. Yeah, you do, to the downside. And you're also in 5-day breakdown per the HBDR, right? With BBWP firing off from 2 0 sessions. That is why you're simply heavily in bear territory. For anyone who's confused on that. Yeah. So like the daily, I mean, yeah, maybe it giveth the bounce, but you know, you already kind of did get that, and you already did lose the daily 9 here, and you would have been gauging this to kind of retest it. So again, it kind of does give you confidence that you should get a bounce on Bitcoin sooner rather than later if we're going to be right. And we very well could be wrong on this, but I'm still going to play what I know. And that's just why, you know, a system is nice on Bitcoin. Playing what you know. That's all I can do. The charts giveth and taketh.
That's the one benefit with Bitcoin versus like Forex or commodities, for example, is that you can apply your consistent system without having to worry about like a central bank just dumping a bunch of their treasuries and giving you like a huge red dildo or green dildo, which will in a snap of a finger invalidate your strategy.
That's always fun. And then they'll say, we're not going to do it. We don't manipulate it. And then they do it.
But what about when they, like, Germany sells all of their Bitcoin one day?
That usually gives you like a big volatility spike, but it doesn't usually affect like the weekly or monthly trend.
And honestly, you can see it in the chart. Like, because with Forex, it'll just be immediately actually kind of like a total, you just don't know. It'll look super bullish and then boom, 2% down on the yen. With Bitcoin, though, like even with Germany, let's say, that was the most recent case, I believe. The chart was looking bearish. It was looking bearish. And then the news kind of confirmed why it was. And it kind of ended up going up after that a little bit. So, you know, yeah, that is true. You do. I mean, it's not like crypto isn't manipulated. This shit is like the Wild West. But it is nice in the sense that you can have such a simple system that just works. And it does work.
It's
and that's
constantly
nice.
repetitive is what you mean then.
Yeah, it is. It is, yeah, basically.
Like more than others. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, she is. Well, you know, she's consistent for now. Wild though.
Oh yeah, eventually it's gonna be more like Forex.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Um, you know, and this is still a real possibility. You very well could just be putting in a triple bottom here. I know those mostly fail, but you very well could be doing that. This zone is a very big spot, and this is majorly big support. So, you know, I'm always on that side that you are potentially just going to go down from here, but the charts are still telling me that's not the case. We have a major setup, and until we actually lose the daily 9, we very well could just be getting that 5-day chop that we all know and hate. Right? Whenever you get that 5-day volatility setup, you always bait shorts or bait longs. This very well could be what we're seeing, because I hope my analysis today really brought home, should we be bearish today? No. Will we know today if we should be bearish? Yes. But this is still looking bullish to me, and it's still looking like a good long, and that's it. And that's just kind of what I'm looking at today. Let's look at Bitcoin dominance, because again, everyone and their mother is bearish on Bitcoin dominance, but I'm instantly going to the monthly chart, and I'm just waiting for this close. This is going to be important to see. This entire bull market, Bitcoin dominance has held the monthly 9. So I could look at the hourly, the daily, the 5-day, but really we should just be focused on the monthly. It's closing in 3 days. We should just be focused on what's going to happen here. You're either going to hold the monthly 9 and then SFP the EMA 100. You know, that's potentially, you know, going to happen. We don't know until we get to close. Or you may just deviate all of them, and then you can have more of a bearish bias on Bitcoin dominance. But until then, I still want to see the monthly EMA 9 hold. This be a monthly throwback, aggressive, nasty, yes, but if we can just hold the monthly 9, this still is in breakout. You still have a monthly silver cross, and that's just it. The monthly 9 has just been holding the whole bull market, this entire bull market. Anytime alt season is being thrown out there, Bitcoin dominance says, hold my beer on the monthly chart. So we should be watching that very, very carefully. And now it's closing in 3 days. So that's great. 2-month back test as well, meaning a bullish back test, breakout back test. Not really the most bearish thing. I don't use the 55 to trade, just for crosses. Let me get that off. So to me, it looks like, you know, EMA 34 is resistance. The objective now in this new weekly is to get back above that. Because if not, yeah, EMA 100 is brewing. Two weeks looking a little nasty. It's going to be very important for bulls to not break down here. What is this? This is the SMA. No, this is the EMA 100. We can throw on the SMA 200. I think that's actually... Oh, now I'm just confusing myself. 2 week is looking not the best. Why? Because you broke down. This was support. This is looking like it's in a bearish retest, and you just freshly lost the 2 week EMA 9. So into the next 6 days, and this is why, again, getting back above the weekly EMA 34 into this week is going to be quite important. Got to start seeing this 2 week actually turn into something better. Like better being getting back above the EMA 21. That has been putting in the bottoms here. It's not bad. But what you don't want is this to turn red and give you a breakdown. That would be bad. Because why then? Because then that could bleed into the monthly being really nasty, and then the bi-monthly gets bad, and then maybe this turns into a bear market. Wouldn't be good. And that's why we don't want to front run triggers. We just simply want to wait. So Bitcoin now is at that zone. We are at $118,000. It's going to be very crucial to see a bounce here soon. And again, we've been talking about this. $118,000 absolutely needs to hold. There's no reason to be bearish as long as you are holding above that. Sunday provided a nice bounce. Monday looks like it's ruining it. but we need to see it be a throwback. That's all this could be. So now Academy, this is potentially the last stand. You need to start seeing this bounce, and the 12-hour is at the 21. So for me now, we are watching that. It makes sense again. We see here this 12-hour did get reclaimed. Do this, right? It did get reclaimed. You haven't, or no, I guess you did back test it. This was support. So this has proven itself to be support. This needs to hold. And that's just it. That's what Bitcoin is at. That's what I see. Hopefully that all made a lot of sense. I'm playing the 12-hour trend shift though here. So again, it came on a Sunday, a little predatory, but I mean, Monday, I just want to start seeing this. I want to see this week be very bullish, IMO, and that could come in off all the news and whatnot. But for me now, I'm just simply not going to trade based on that logic of news, but rather just playing my system, and my system is saying we're good to long. We can easily front run this stop loss if and when we start closing dailies under $118,000. So that's all I have on Bitcoin.
Not bad at all. All right, so we're going to be rich by tomorrow. Perfect.
Hopefully. Yeah, hopefully.
Tomorrow, why so bearish? I'm going to start with the daily right now because this is the main idea that I'm going to base my bias off. Because last daily candle, we did close over the median. That gives us probabilities of at least reconnecting with the median, even whether the median is to the upside or the downside. And you want to see two closes over that median to give you the confirmation you need to apply that 61.8% chance to hit this top 38.2%. If you were to lose this median on today's daily close, that's going to revert that 61.8% chance to going to the bottom. And because you've already tested this 21 EMA so many times, and you're going to be below it by hitting that 38.2%, I don't think it's going to stop here. And if you also look at volatility, you've now entered into extreme lows. And once you've lost that 21 EMA, you're very likely going to get that volatility expansion at that point. Let me see if I can find an example. This move to the downside here, you lost the 21 EMA, you lost the 55 EMA, you slightly got volatility expansion for a little bit, and then it started contracting whenever you started to reclaim all of your major EMAs. The number on the index is the one that I would be using instead of any of the exchanges, because the Bluefin one has a slightly different number. I believe it was about 115s. The index one is a little bit more accurate because it's sitting below that area. It's sitting right along our current wick low of around that $114,000 area. Because you are very likely to get a very slight bounce around this wick low, which is going to probably go to the 21 EMA, which will be your resistance point, and that's going to take you down towards that 55. Right now, daily momentum is still technically pointing to the upside because it's still above the moving average. You're at the reset zone. So this would be the area, if I can go to the last expansion, where you put in the hidden bullish divergence and then continue to the upside. Right now, there is no possibility of hitting bullish divergence because we don't have a lower low on momentum. Do we have a lower low on price? No possibility of regular bullish divergence either. So the only thing that price can do right now is chop down a little bit and put in hidden momentum that breaks this momentum low, and then that would make possible hidden bullish divergence. Or the other possibility is price would make a lower low, and then momentum would become higher low. Then you would also have a possible hidden bullish divergence. Switch to 4 hour. 4 hours also right at that area where you need to bounce, or you're going to get that move deeper to the downside. And I'm going to show you what those downside targets are in the next setup. But right now, you're at that 4 hour 55 EMA because we had that fresh 4 hour silver cross. This is the last area of support before you're going to dump and break these lows. And the reason why I don't think this 100 EMA area is going to hold is because if you go down to volatility, you're sitting at extreme lows at 11%. And now momentum is about very close to breaking below the neutral zone. And then you get this area right here is the bearish control zone below the 38. And this area is the bearish critical zone. So once it's below the 38 and you have volatility expansion, that gives you probabilities of hitting somewhere around that 78.6%, which is that 113-ish, $114,000 area. We switch over to CME. go on to the daily, and you'll see that 113-ish, $114,000 area is the CME gap right now. And there's, like Alex had mentioned, how a lot of people are looking to bid this area. That's why I don't think it's going to stop at this area. I'm looking more so at somewhere around this 110-ish to $109,000 area. I do personally think that we are going to bounce here and go to new all-time highs. But if you don't see a very strong bounce from that $109,000, $110,000 area, and the type of bounce I'm talking about is immediately bought back up and then closing over about, what was this? About 114,380. You want to see an immediate bounce and then a close over 114,380. That will confirm that as a swing failure pattern, and it will give you targets of the current highs. Okay, now let's go to the RSI. I'll start with Tether on this one. I love pointing this out. Tether still has 4 drives of hidden bearish divergence, regular bearish divergence on the quarterly. And you got that head and shoulders, which gives you a negative target. But as long as you're closing over about 2.23, I believe it's 2.5. Yeah, about 2.54%. Eventually, the 6-month is going to confirm hidden bullish divergence. And that would give you a target of the previous projective highs. And as of right now, that's sitting somewhere around 6.14%. It's a little bit higher than the RSI target. The RSI target is about 5.6%. But more likely, it's going to go to that 6% area to retest these previous highs. And if you were to apply that percentage move to around 6%, that's more than 25%, I believe. Yeah, that's roughly a 41% move to the downside. And the way Tether correlates with crypto is that's going to be somewhere around, it's about 1.5 to 1.7%. So I can't do the math, but somewhere around, I believe, 55 to 60-ish%. The monthly still has active hidden bearish divergence, which is going to be active as long, it's a little bit easier to invalidate now. It's going to be active as long as you're closing below 5.26%. And that would give you a technical target of hitting the 100 EMA, which right now is that 3.5% number that we've been looking for the past couple of months, actually now. See, it also lines up somewhere between the midline zone of the RSI and the bearish control zone, between the 4s and the 2s. Two-week on the previous close also confirmed hidden bearish divergence. And as of right now, you haven't even tested the 5 EMA. Not really looking bullish in the slightest. And if Tether dominance is not looking bullish, then crypto is looking the opposite. Right now, the RSI target for this hidden bearish divergence would be somewhere around this bearish control zone because the volatility is at extreme lows. And the bearish control zone sits at about 2.7%. So that's another target sitting somewhere in the mid to high tubes. Nothing there. 5-day currently has active bearish divergence, and now it's putting in possible hidden bearish divergence by breaking these highs, and price is putting in lower highs. Right now, to confirm the hidden bearish divergence, you would have to close below about 4.11%, and that would give you an RSI target of that critical zone of about 2.78%. Right now, you are getting volatility expansion from 2 periods of 0%, and you're only at 32%. Tether likes to top out somewhere in the 80s. So there's a volatility still shows you that there's a lot more room to the downside to go. This is somewhat of a bottoming formation, but it's only confirmed as a bottom if you can confirm a local bottom, which we would have to close over the previous candle's quick high, which is 4.36%. There. All right, I'll switch to the momentum chart. Quarterly momentum is still pointed very strongly to the upside, and for the first time in Bitcoin's history, it's entered the bullish critical zone. And it's going to be pointed up as long as you're closing over $108,200. And right now, there is no possibility of bearish divergence because we did make a higher high on price with a higher high in momentum. Monthly is now also put in hidden bullish divergence, freshly flipping to the upside on the previous close with a volatility setup confirmed. And that volatility setup is every single time volatility on the BBWP goes below the 15% area and starts to expand above the 15% area with the closure, you have probabilities of moving in the direction of stochastic momentum. And right now, this setup has a 100% hit rate. It has not failed a single time. Of course, it's not going to be 100% forever, but it's more wise to bet on the trend to continue rather than trend reversal. And right now, you are going to be pointed up on the monthly as long as you're closing over $103,450. Every single previous time, we've had a greater than 100% move with this monthly setup. I just am not willing to call a 100% move yet because that takes you to kind of ridiculous numbers over $220,000. 2 week is also now firing off that same volatility setup. This one, 2 week hasn't confirmed it just yet. Monthly has. 2 week will confirm it in about 6 days and 10 hours. And as long as momentum is pointed to the upside, while that volatility gives you the confirmation on the close, you will have probabilities of moving about 35 to 40% to the upside on an average basis. And it can go a lot more than that. Right now, momentum is pointed up as long as you're closing over about $118,600. Weekly is also now giving you that potential volatility setup where we've entered into extreme lows. Now we're looking for volatility to start expanding. Right now, momentum is still positioned to the upside as long as you're closing over $118,400. And as of right now, you're just getting a bounce off your 5 EMA. You haven't even come down to the 9. And as long as you're holding over that 5 EMA, the trend is very strongly to the upside. Five-day is now also starting to fire off that setup. We have not gotten a confirmation just yet. With the closure, we have 1 day and 10 hours left to go. And it's slowly kind of starting to seem to me that it's going to be one of those setups where it starts to fire off to the downside and then the real expansion happens. And then you get your earthy green dildos up. And what's telling me that is because we went all the way down to about $114,000. And this pivot did change. It went down while momentum flipped down. So now we're just about to get to that area, that $116,700 area. And what's going to tell you that this volatility setup is going to apply to the upside is if we in about a day and 10 hours, if you manage to close over this pivot, that is going to confirm for me that this setup is going to be playing out to the upside. And I would even be able to keep it a time basis at that point, and probably within the next 2 candles, which tells you about 10 days. Two-day is currently flipped to the downside, but the bullish hopium is that volatility is still contracting. What's going to revert this into volatility contraction and price consolidation is if you get a close below this previous wick low at about $114,700. That happens, in my opinion, you're going to go straight down to 109. Not in a straight line, obviously. Little bounces at key levels. First one is going to be that 21 EMA. And then you're likely going to get a bearish retest, and then from there, it's probably going to be very aggressive towards 109. Daily is now giving you that volatility setup as well, with many, many periods of 0%. And now it's kind of looking to me like this 21 EMA retest is going to be the spring to the upside as long as this 9 EMA holds. Got to make sure to put emphasis on that. As long as this 9 EMA holds, this test of the 21 should be the spring. Momentum is still pointed to the downside, and I like to see the price is consolidating with volatility contraction while momentum is to the downside. We're very close to entering into the bearish control zone, but we will flip up if we can close the daily above $119,100. That's about like $800 above where we are right now. $800 at the moment is the sneeze for price action for Bitcoin, so it could easily do that. We would have to wait to see today's daily close. For 1, if we lose the 9 EMA, and 2, if we maintain momentum to the downside. 4 hours now freshly flipping down as well, kind of giving more bias towards the move towards 109 to 110,000. Volatility is now fully reset on the 4 hour with a derp of death, and now momentum is starting to flip down as long as you're closing below $119,700. So on the high time frames, Bitcoin is still looking very bullish and telling me that within maybe the next year and a half, we're very likely, and I say that because I want to give myself a good amount of time because I'm not the best at timing, but a year and a half, we're very likely to go to significantly new all-time highs. In the lower time frames, you are seeing bearishness start to appear. Momentum is starting to foot down with volatility setups appearing. You are right at that area where the bear between that fine line between the breakout and the breakdown, and I'm looking for today's daily close to tell me which one of those is going to be. I want to see the daily 9 EMA hold, and I want to see the previous wick low hold. If that happens, then the consolidation in this area is likely to resolve to the upside. And to get your confirmation for that, and also the invalidation, let me remove this. Hard to make it see. It's going to be a little not that useful for you, but it's more useful because I can give you numbers from it. But you would have to close over your current all-time highs on a 2-week basis. You could even use a daily closing basis of $123,181. That would give you that move towards about $126,000 that Alex had mentioned earlier. Not that much higher, $3,000 move, but the next target after there is significantly higher, and that's around that 146, which is the monthly median. And the invalidation for that is getting either a tick below. Before I was using this one, but you don't have to anymore because you've made a consolidation and a higher high. So I would use this one now. And that would be a tick below 98,330 or a weekly close below about $105,000. I am of the opinion that doesn't happen. I'm thinking even if we do get a test of 109 to 110, we're likely going to get a strong bounce there and maybe some consolidation, but then I'm expecting new all-time highs. If we get that move, I will be invalidated, and then I'm going to be flipped into the opinion that we are in a bear market, and this $123,000 area is going to be our all-time highs. But I also think we're going to get a similar type of move like 2021 when we first initially crashed to about $32,000 or $34,000, and then it went basically up only until we went for the next 2 months or 3 months until we tapped about $50,000 ish, and then that's when the move to 25,000 happened. That's what I got for Bitcoin. I think your mic is off. Can you guys hear me?
Oh, that's why. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what it was. Yeah. The final piece of the puzzle is here. Got it. I was just asking if you don't mind. So you see maybe a little correction down to basically what we had talked on Friday about, right here around the 111, 110 range, right? Mm-hmm. That you're only expecting it if you see us closing today below the median?
The 9 EMA.
Or the 9. I'm sorry, the 9, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But overall, you think we're going higher as long as we hold in that area. If not, we could just go here and then go bust if we get a strong reaction to all-time highs. And if we kind of break here, it's kind of fucked. If 106
I'm going to be thinking, then I'm going to be thinking that we're in a bear market.
Yeah, it would make sense.
It's about 105 on a daily closing basis.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. All righty. Thank you, sir. Thank you for clarifying those points. Vale. Tenemos aquí a los Bitcoins, damas y caballeros. Esto es nuestra tabla diaria. Solamente quiero ponerles rápido. Les voy a dar la de 2 semanas para que tengan una buena perspectiva de lo que ha estado pasando. Por supuesto que estamos en una estructura alcista con bajos más altos, bajos más altos, bajos más altos y continuamos siendo bajos más altos, al igual que altos más altos. Además de eso, tenemos en la de 2 semanas setups de volatilidad. Ahorita vamos a meternos en ello, pero esto tiene cara de continuación por ahora. Hay diferentes maneras de ver si estamos en la línea correcta o no, porque empezamos a ver en altas temporalidades que Bitcoin continúa siendo muy alcista, pero en bajas temporalidades empieza a poner setups que nos podrían hacer pensar que podríamos ver o una corrección o el principio de un mercado bajista. Vamos a poner atención a esto y empecemos con la de 3 meses. Por supuesto, estos son velas de cuartos. Déjenme simplemente pongo la de 6 por una simple razón. Quiero ver dónde está el 9. 84 y en la de 3, 92. Interesante. 84, 92. Vale. Tenemos nuestro promedio del 5 justamente en los $93,000, nuestro promedio del 9 en los 74,000. Todo bastante bien. Esto nos enseña bastante fuerza en el precio cuando ves tus promedios de acuerdo a temporalidades de corta a más larga en orden y separados. Eso te dice que el precio lleva muchísima fuerza y buen momentum a su favor. Por ahora estamos viendo, todavía estamos al pendiente de nuestro setup de volatilidad por acá, que le faltan todavía 2 meses y 3 días para cerrar, pero por ahora nuestro setup de volatilidad. Recuerden que esto es nuestro indicador de volatilidad que se llama BBWP, lo puedes bajar acá en donde dice Indicators, pones B de bebé, B de bebé, W de güey, y no, güey va con G, y, y P de pendejo, por mi pendejo chiste. BBWP y volatilidad es la línea de colores, la blanca es el promedio, esto es un 100%, aquí arriba también, y aquí abajo es 0%, cuando estas líneas son azules quiere decir 0%, y esta línea amarilla la puse yo porque es lo que consideramos expansión, aunque esta es la tabla total de Bitcoin, viene del punto más bajo de toda la historia con esta expansión y ahorita está volteando para abajo, pero tenemos que esperar a ver la confirmación en el cierre, que de nuevo faltan 2 meses y 2 días para poder ser, 3 días para poder cerrar esta belongo. Vamos a la mensual, y aquí también les voy a poner el HPDR. Por supuesto que continuamos en la misma tendencia, siendo altos más altos, etcétera, junto con bajos más altos. Tenemos nuestros promedios perfectamente alineados una vez más, nuestro 5 en el 101, nuestro 9 en los 98 y por ahí hasta los $78,000 el 21 y más para abajo los demás. Pero acá también estamos esperando a que nos dé esta confirmación de expansión de volatilidad. Esta expansión parece estar dándose a la alza, pero tenemos que esperar a la confirmación. Esto va a cerrar en 3 días y 10 horas para darnos esa confirmación de volatilidad, de expansión. Una vez que lo tengamos y estamos viendo que esta vela continúa siendo verde en 3 días y 10 horas, vamos a decir, ok, esto va a dar continuación y podríamos ver un blow-off top potente, damas y caballeros, y también podríamos ver hasta tal vez continuación y no solamente un blow-off top. 2 semanas empieza volatilidad también a pintarnos por acá que tiene ganas de salir y esta volatilidad ya saben que nos dan setups de 50-60% a la alza o a la baja. A la alza son $150,000-$160,000, a la baja son $74,000 básicamente, es lo que estás viendo. Les voy a también poner el HPDR para que lo puedan ver. Un segundo. O sea, bro, siempre es lo mismo con esto. Ahora, en el HPDR podemos ver que estamos rebotando ante la media. La media estaba en los 115. Esto fue algo que tocamos justamente la semana pasada, que estábamos esperando una corrección para después dar un rebote a la alza. Este rebote nos llevó hasta los 119, $120,000 y ahorita estamos por encima de la media. Estar por encima de la media, que son los 115, 168, nos da más probabilidad de ir a la parte alta de la zona azul, que son $146,000 como objetivo, que a la parte baja. Y antes de ello tenemos nuestro promedio del 9. Ahora, este promedio del 9 es donde yo pondría una línea en la arena en estos 104,688 en la de 2 semanas. Porque de llevarte eso para abajo, empezaríamos a pensar que esto no se ve tan bien como todo el mundo está intentándolo hacerlo ver. Pero por ahora continuamos a la alza. Semanal también está preparando un movimiento de cero volatilidad. Recuerden que esto, cuando empuja el precio, si va para arriba o para abajo, lo hace con muchísima fuerza. Semanal son movimientos de 35, 40% y eso nos pone en una zona bastante interesante de jugar todo esto, porque en verdad volatilidad quiere hacerse presente. Por ahora estamos viendo que en nuestro cero semanal tenemos una vela toperona. Tenemos justamente un hammerhead después de este lado, aunque no es total porque tienes todavía un poco arriba de esta vela. Y esta vela está creándote una vela toperona chiquitilla. Y aquí abajo tienes la media en los $113,000. La parte, siempre y cuando estemos por arriba de la media, que lo estamos por ahora, y podamos cerrar esta vela en 6 días y 10 horas por encima, vamos a tener más probabilidades de ir a buscar estos 135 que la parte baja de la zona azul, que son los $99,000. 5 días, tenemos volatilidad en expansión, falta un día y 10 horas para confirmar. Estos son movimientos de 35%. Estamos por encima del promedio del 5, encima del 9, encima de nuestra media que está justamente en esta línea meme en los 111,742. Y es muy importante recordar esto, porque si no aguantamos esta línea meme por acá y tenemos más caída, si los 106 a 104 no aguantan, esto tiene cara de que se cocinó y ahí quedó. Pero pueden ver cuántos setups de volatilidad tenemos. 3 días, tenemos volatilidad contrayendo después de una expansión que nos llevó a este subidongo. Y por ahora estamos cerrando, estamos por abajo de nuestro promedio del 5. Faltan 3 días, falta un día y 10 horas para cerrar esta vela de 3 días. Nos gustaría cerrar por encima de 118,305. De poder hacerlo, vamos a ir a visitar la parte alta de la zona azul en los 122,000 y nos pone ya muy cerca de altos históricos. Y de no poder y continuar cayendo, 116 sería el siguiente objetivo y después, una vez más, nuestra zona de donde está justamente esta línea meme con el circulito, sería la zona de último recurso. De no aguantar, tienes la parte baja de la zona azul en los 104, que de nuevo 104, 106 empiezan a sonar tenebrosos si es que se llegan a dar. Diaria tienes varios peludos. Diaria tienes varios instancias de cero volatilidad y volatilidad continúa en 0. Esto va a darnos el movimiento inicial. Esto nos va a dar la pauta y es por eso que tenemos que estar viendo nuestra tabla diaria más que en cualquier otro tiempo en este momento. ¿Por qué? Porque el setup de volatilidad diaria te va a llevar al setup de volatilidad de los 5 días, te va a llevar al setup de volatilidad en la de semanal, la de 2 semanas, empujar la mensual y obviamente en consecuencia la trimestral. Así que, ¿qué es lo que buscamos en la diaria para ser alcistas? Queremos vernos cerrar por encima de la media el día de hoy. La media diaria en el índice está en 118,699. De no poder cerrar por encima de esta media, pero también tienes el promedio del 9, literalmente $300 abajo. Esto va a ser la gatada que va a hacer. Va a cerrar en medio de estas líneas para que no sepas a dónde ir. Pero el perder los 118,343 básicamente te pone a ir a buscar primero los 116 y después los 114. De no aguantar los 114 y llevarte este mínimo, estarías una vez más yendo a esta parte, a esta zona entre los 111 y los 113. Vamos a ver la de 4 horas, a ver qué nos pone. 4 horas está empezando a romper a la baja. Quiero ver. Espérame. Volatilidad está contrayendo. Ok. Así que esto no lo está dando con volatilidad. Pero, importante, de acá podríamos ajustar hasta los 117 y esperar ahí nuestro rebote. De no poder rebotar, 115,704. Y aquí una vez más, te llevas estos 114, 113 entra en el menú de McDonald's, papi. Vamos a hacer esto bastante sencilla con la diaria, quitar el HPDR para Bitcoin. Vamos a ver los Bitcoin, ¿ok? Y acá en los Bitcoin, damas y caballeros, continuamos esta tendencia alcista. Estamos teniendo esta consolidación justamente acá. Ahora, esta consolidación a mí en lo personal me gusta más para ser alcista. ¿Por qué? Porque tienes este mínimo, un mínimo más bajo, alto, alto, alto más bajo. A mí me gustan consolidaciones después de una bandera alcista, que es justamente lo que vimos acá, que van a la baja. Porque normalmente estas tienen más seguimiento a la alza, justamente como esta que estás viendo acá. Después de haber dado ese gran golpe, tuviste esta consolidación y luego bolas a la alza. Eso es lo que me gustaría ver. Ahora, no está jugando tan agresivamente como estas. Estas fueron más fáciles de spotear que iban a ser alcistas. Esto podría ser cualquier cosa. ¿Qué es lo que estamos esperando el día de hoy? Bastante fácil. Queremos poder cerrar por encima de nuestro promedio del 9, en los 118,342. De poder lograrlo, eso nos lleva a los 122 a romper altos históricos y probablemente a esos 130, 135 primero, después 146 y después 150 y tantos. De no darse y de poder cerrar acá, esperaríamos tener una corrección que primero tendría su primera parada por ahí en los 115. 115. Si no aguantan los 115 y te llegas a llevar este mínimo, estás hablando de entre 112 y 109. Si rompes esta zona a la baja, tu última esperanza va a ser que aguante por acá, entre los 106 y los 104. Si esta zona no aguanta, aquí es donde el mercado es B de bajista. Esa es lo que tienes que estar viendo. Hoy, para ser alcista, queremos cerrar por encima de los 118,350. Para tener una corrección, se puede dar cerrando por debajo y eso nos lleva primero a los 115,500. De no poder aguantar ese nivel entre los 112 y los 109, de no aguantar ese nivel, aquí es donde nosotros esperaríamos el rebote fuerte al alza. ¿Ok? Lo que más vemos como probabilidad, si es que cerramos por debajo del promedio del 9, es esto y esto al alza, con fuerza. Si aquí no tienes un rebote fuerte en esta zona de los $111,000 en promedio, vas muy probablemente a caer acá, y acá es donde ya es mercado bajista, básicamente, si lo revientas a la baja. Ahí es básicamente lo que estamos viendo. Volteamos a ver la dominancia de Bitcoin, en lo que todo el mundo está contándonos que ya es alt season. Vamos a ver qué nos dice la tabla. En la mensual continuamos esta tendencia alcista, por supuesto. Después de un alto viene un mínimo y después de este mínimo deberíamos de hacer un nuevo máximo. Y también estamos a punto de regresar por encima del promedio del 9, que está en el 61.40. Y nos quedan todavía 3 días y 9 horas para cerrar. Yo creo que esto va a ser muy importante para todos, además de que tienes un cruce plateado a la alza por acá. Y cada que tienes un cruce plateado a la alza, retesteo del 9 es una oportunidad de compra. Y adivinen qué. Adivinen qué. En un segundo, estoy casi seguro que este es el único cruce plateado que existe en esta tabla a la alza. ¿Sí? Es el único. Entonces, si estamos viendo eso, esto va a ser imperativo para retomar. Si es que, y ahora, una vez más, alt season no es lo mismo. Se los he dicho 1000 veces. Por eso les dije que tienen que buscar refugio y valor en volumen de transacciones, como lo está haciendo Ethereum, como lo está haciendo todas estas instituciones grandes. ¿Por qué? Porque esto ya es muy diferente. Ya no tienes la misma entrada. Antes, cuando todo el mundo se metía a cripto y veía caer a Bitcoin, se salía de Bitcoin y compraba altcoins con ese dinero para poder llevarse la segunda parada, ¿no? La segunda subida. El problema de eso es que hay una gran cantidad de todo este nuevo dinero que entró a Bitcoin, que entró por parte de los ETFs. Y esos ETFs no son líquidos para convertirlos en altcoins. Entonces, va a ser muy diferente esto. Yo no esperaría un alt season de nada, honestamente. Ha sido muy pitero toda esa narrativa. No tiene sentido alguno. La última vez que tuvimos un alt season sin sentido fue porque imprimimos 40% de todo el dinero que existía y eso no lo estamos haciendo ahorita. La dominancia de Tether, esto es otra cosa que estamos siempre al pendiente, por supuesto, que hemos estado viendo y esperaríamos a que regresáramos al 3.78%, pero probablemente al 3.49%. Y acá, por fin, nos dé ese último golpe a la baja, ese sea nuestro último golpe a la alza en Bitcoin, y de acá rebotar con fuerza en el 3.48%. E irse para arriba. Pero por ahora es bajista. Puedes ver que está teniendo un breakdown justamente acá. Si lo pongo en 2 semanas todavía se va a ver más. Aquí lo puedes ver cómo tuviste esta caída. No has ni siquiera venido a retestear una vez más el 470. Si llegamos a tener este ajuste que estamos hablando, irnos a los 110, probablemente veamos el retesteo de esta línea por acá y de ahí para abajo y de ahí para arriba. Es lo que esperaría en esta zona, en la dominancia de Tether. Por ahora, Bitcoin está cayendo en los 117. Esperamos, déjame, saco el índice, perdón. Debería ya tener el índice ahí puesto, soy un imbécil, no sé por qué no lo pongo. Pero bueno, por ahora estamos viendo justamente esto. Vamos a seguirlo con los ojos bien pelados. Una vez más, 118,350 en el índice de Bitcoin es lo que estamos buscando poder aguantar para el cierre el día de hoy en la diaria, de poder aguantarlo. 122 y después altos históricos están en las tablas, de no aguantarlo, checar si vamos a aguantar en los 115. De ahí, si rompemos a la baja los 115 hasta la zona de los 112 a los 109. Y si eso no aguanta, empieza a verse muy mal. Deberíamos de rebotar con mucha fuerza en esa zona si somos alcistas, de no irnos a los 105, 104, 106. Empezaríamos a decir que esto muy probablemente esté cocinado y de perder esa zona completamente en un mercado bajista, cambiando de tendencia oficialmente. Por ahora, no tenemos el cierre del día de hoy, vamos a esperarlo, así que vamos a tener los ojos bien pelados. Vámonos a la que sigue. Whoever's next, let's do FFAI.
On it. FFAI. Sounds like a fun one.
It's the one we did that had the super breakdown and then it's getting a pop. I actually bought some of that.
Let's check it out.
Let me know if I'm going to be super rich by the end of this podcast, please.
Perfect. Yeah, let's check this out then.
Damn it, it doesn't look like it.
Granted, to me, it looks like it's going to give a pullback. And that pullback is either then going to confirm big money, life-changing money, or, yeah, it's just going to do what this has always done, which is fizzle out any major pump we've had. Why, though, this chart was looking interesting to me, and actually makes a lot of sense on why you bought this. I remember this chart now, and it was putting in massive price structure shift that we've never seen in this chart's history ever. Right? You've never actually been above that weekly 21 for more than 2 to 3 candle closures. Here you reclaimed it, you went up, broke down. Let me see if this is the right chart that I'm thinking of. 21.
Yeah, it is.
Boom, boom.
It is, but I think
down.
it's the monthly.
Yeah,
the monthly view, the one that gives you the
bias. Yeah, exactly. First time ever being above the monthly EMA 9. Let's check that real quick. I have to really zoom in.
Yeah, I know. It's the most annoying thing about these charts.
When they're just super sold down. But Grant, this is very bullish. So yeah, wow. We'll put the 5 on that too. Okay, cool. So yeah, the 5's perfect. You know, you potentially are about to see a major move in the next month or two on this chart. But granted, you do need to see a pullback. I don't think this chart's just going to give you free money up to $15, $20 region. I do think that's a real possibility, though, after you get a pullback. So for me, why would we want to pull back? Well, firstly, you're about to reclaim the monthly EMA 5. That's a major zone. I'm not going to zoom out, but as you saw, you haven't even been above the monthly EMA 9. So granted, how I use the 5 is once you reclaim that can give you confluence to going up to the 9. That is funnily sitting at $32, which is absolutely absurd. But still, hey, that is a setup. And also on the weekly, you're seeing here the shift in real time. You've now closed above all major moving averages that have been holding us down, the 9 and the 21. And so on this perspective here, you'd actually want to see this 21 and the EMA 9 actually get hit. This should be the ultimate ad zone. I may even throw money in this chart, actually. Simply based on this zone being a spring, I know exactly where I'm wrong. And if it does spring, this technically will give you that move up to, at minimum, $15.70 to $17. That's a pretty good trade, if I'm not mistaken. That's a lot of money there that could be made. Throw $1,000 in, could make $6,000 on minimal risk, of course, because with these, we know how these always go. If I were to, let's say, spot buy this, I'd simply just use this low as a hard stop loss. I'd manually cut the trade. What are we risking here? Not bad. Throw $1,000 in, I lose maybe $170 to make $6,000. That's great money. That's not bad risk to reward. So it's going to be really dependent on the next week or two. You need to start seeing $2, psychological number 2, funny enough, hold. Simply, that's just it. $2 needs to hold. You need to start seeing the weekly EMA 9 cross above the 21, giving you a bull bias, simply. Whenever you see that fast moving average cross under the slower one, it just tells you, or cross above it, not under, cross above it, that just gives you at least the bias that bulls are in control. Oh, wow, and look at that. The daily, beautiful. reclaimed above specifically that SMA 200. That was the bullish bias that we were talking about needed to happen. And now you just simply need to hold. You need this to just hold above that. You're noticing that EMA 100 is specifically at $2. And so that has shown you that that was support on this major throwback. You did get that spring. You got a new high. And so really, yeah, $2 seems like the ultimate zone for me. Let's see if the HPDR provides anything. Yeah, so you'd be gauging a pullback anyways here. Minimum all the way down to that daily 9, maybe a little lower to the 38.2%. But still, you would still be gauging a pullback. More likely than not. And that's pullback could easily be a 7 to 9% pullback from here.
You also have
Massive
a silver cross on the daily to the upside. I know you're not using the 55 all the time.
Let's check that because I do use it for crosses, and that is significant specifically for this chart. Because let's see, have we had one before?
I don't
Must
think
have been
so.
a long time ago. Had one to the downside. Jeez.
Yeah, it's a mess.
Downside. Downside. I don't know if you ever. Oh, here you had one to the upside. And you did retest the 9. So you crossed, you retested the 9 here. And then that, did bounce, of course. Did bounce. Pretty nice, but just didn't hold. And again, right, you're noticing you weren't actually above that EMA 100, SMA 200. That is why this thing has really shifted in favor of bulls. It just took a very long time. And for this to really sell down hard. But, granted, it is now in favor of bulls on the daily. This is bullish. This is very bullish. You have daily uptrend. Now, let's check the macro trend, right? Keep ourselves in check here. So, yeah, I think our idea was that you need to take this high out. Notice how it has rejected before then. So, again, pullback is more likely, but that doesn't mean that this thing is overcooked. You're going to get a bi-monthly close here soon. You're getting the monthly close here soon. That in itself could put in structure. You very easily could just get a nice pullback into the monthly, maybe even consolidate for the next bi-monthly candle. But again, as long as you're above $2, I'm bullish. $2 held, couldn't hold the reclaim. And that was it. I mean, really haven't been flirting with that zone for a while. What was our idea here? Even if you got a deep pullback, I guess maybe it's, I don't even know. It doesn't matter. Don't know what we were seeing here, but the point is that this is looking very bullish. This can quickly not be bullish, though. And that's why you don't want to put all your chips in here. But the risk to reward is really logical to at least even just throw a little bit of money, like $1,000 was $100, make maybe $6,000. That's not a degenerate, out of the outlandish number. It's simply playing my system, which is as long as you're above the 9 and the 21, you're going to get a move up to the 34. And it's already logically our next, zone per the moving averages. Let's say you start reclaiming above $18. Then I do think we can start looking at that monthly 9 to be the next objective. And simply you would be looking at that zone anyways. Because this was a major rejection here. So you're going to have like almost a range. Reclaim $18, pop to 32. What if we start reclaiming that monthly 9? Well, that's when things really start becoming interesting. Because, well, for me, it's going to be like you could retest this zone. Let's actually zoom back in. Yeah, this zone here. Again, stupid. And then, yeah, I mean, I really I wouldn't see why we wouldn't fill this out.
But a 100x.
Knowing that, right? Knowing that, it's most likely then going to reject the monthly 9 on the first test. We know this. I mean, that's a big spot.
Yeah.
We haven't tested it. And when you did test it, you didn't fully test it here anyways. And it did reject. Here, you did.
I'm going to put my entire net worth into this. and then step off into the sunset. You'll never hear from me again.
Can you imagine just a 100x, like a quick, chill 100x?
Just never hear
1
from
million
Far
gets you
again.
100.
Yeah, that would be like, imagine that this actually does just do this, and you even just get this. And then, okay, it does go up to the 9. Like this 9 retest, yeah, you make insane money. Yeah, throwing 100 grand, you make 1.4 million, I think. I'm not good at math, so probably even more. Unsure. The point is, though, is that it's absurd.
Yeah, it's
4 million, right? Easily. So yeah, but again, that is like that's the trap. So you don't want to get trapped thinking like that. Let's play it level to level. For me, $2 is the spot. And when we get $2, let's set the alerts. Let's watch that carefully. You, in theory, don't want to really be playing around here a lot. It would be bullish, though, but you would kind of just want this to spring up. You'll get confirmation of a real breakout once you take out this high. Unsure why this line's here. Taking out this high will confirm a breakout. My breakout target will be $15. Simply the EMA 34. Consolidation will just logically cause this to go down. Let's go to the 5-day. Oh, wow. Even more degenerate. I thought that would give us a more conservative EMA 34 target. That is at $19. How funny. Okay. And even here, that's crazy. It's like 2x just off testing the 2-day SMA 200. I guess you should be looking at that, reclaiming that now on the 2-day, and then you simply see where that EMA 100 is. Pretty insane. I personally don't think it's absurd to like say this chart's bullish now. It's literally giving you all the bullish like things necessary for that. You're above the EMA 100 on the daily. The weekly is now above the 9. And now, right, you are technically trying to get above the EMA 5, which I know Farin uses. That's a good sign. For this case, it makes sense. I use the 5 as like a range, and that's telling me if you reclaim this 5, you very easily can test the 9. Getting above the 9 then would confirm for me this isn't somewhat of a bull market. But obviously, right at that point, you're already up 1,000%. Obviously, it's bullish, but it's important because then, where most would say, well, I don't really want to touch this. I'm like, well, you just reclaim the monthly 9. That in itself is a whole trade. So Interesting chart. I'm hoping we see this actually go up to the upside after hitting $2. It'd be great. But for me, let's watch $2. Let's not get FOMO. Let's not get blindsided. Can make a lot of money, but patience always pays. And still at the very minimum, you are still like brewing a 9% pullback, just per the HBDR. All right, and I know this doesn't look like a lot, but from this point, this is 7%. So let's not get FOMO. Let's not put the whole net worth in. You do not need to go all in on this. You simply can just trade something like this. Have a, easy, like we said, risk to reward here. That was the idea. And you can target up to here. And spot, of course. And this is like a risk to reward ratio 52. So I don't need to go all in. I can throw $1,000 in, beer money trade, and actually make some real money on this. So I'm going to set the alert at $2, see what's good. And I will I'll alert the Discord if I do enter something like this. I don't know why the alert button's not working, but I will let everyone know if I do buy this. So yeah, that's all I have on this chart. Very interesting. And I do see Bitcoin is bouncing. Yeah, if I do join the club, yes. Because hearing you buy it sparks it in me to want to buy it now. I'm like, oh.
I put down at like around here because now I've got almost double my money, which again, it's a beer money trade. You're not, not gonna fucking.
You bought it like the most logical spot to buy, actually. So yeah, that's great. Yeah. You could even slap it break even, add at $2, should hold.
Yeah, I mean on this one because it's so little money, like I said, let it roll, dude. If it becomes something awesome, I'll take that. But if not, I don't give a fuck. Take me to zero. That's what these are for, right?
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Oh, that was great. Thank you. For Farhan, after this, we got the S&P 500. We're going to go quick. And then after that, we got XRP.
Nice.
Ok. Estamos viendo Faraday Friday. AI. Que se maman con los nombres, pero bueno. La cosa es, esta tabla es una tabla de esas que se ven pinchísimas. Déjenme pongo la de 6 meses para poder darles perspectiva. Estamos hablando de que esto llegó a un tope de $199,000. No estoy mamando y ahorita está cotizando en $2. ¿Ok? Y muchos dirán, pero güey, ¿para qué vemos esto? Ok. Si los llevo a la diaria y nos acercamos de a madre después de todas esas caídas, esta es la primera vez en la historia de esta tabla. Vean. ¿Ven el morado? Ese es el S&P 200. Y el 100 es el rojo que está cruzando. ¿Ok? Ahí estamos. Ahí estás. El 100, que es el más rápido, va por arriba del 200. Tienes todos tus promedios tal cual y además tienes un cruce plateado a la alza en la diaria. Eso quiere decir que cualquier oportunidad de toque del 9, que está en los 2.58 o hasta el 21, en los 2.23 debería de aguantar y sería buena oportunidad para comprar. Esta es la primera vez que pasa en esta tabla, donde estás por encima de todos estos promedios. Nunca antes había pasado. Mi primer objetivo son los $4.49, después los 7.38. Si lo pongo en la semanal, van a poder ver por qué. Un segundo. ¡Ta madre! ¿Qué desmadre de tablas son estas? Es imposible. Ahí están las pinches velas. ¡La velada! Semanal también puedes ver cómo nuestro 21 y 5 cruzan, el 5 por encima del 21. Esto me parece que también es la primera vez que se da en la tabla, correcto. Y cuando es la primera vez que se da en la tabla, que ves este tipo de cruces, te señalan fuerza. Te señaló la primera parte de fuerza, el 9 con el 5, cuando el 5 se fue por encima del 9, y ahora el 21. Una vez que el 9 cruce por encima del 21 en la semanal, esto va a tener, o sea, va a sugerir aún más fuerza. 2 semanas también tienes, faltan 4 días y 5 horas para cerrar, pero tendríamos confirmación de volatilidad expandiendo en la de 2 semanas a la alza. Y la última vez que volatilidad expandió a la alza fue nunca desde ese punto. Este sería el punto más bajo de la tabla en la historia para hacer esto. Wow. You're looking at this? Volatility has never been this low in this chart. And this will confirm in 4 days and 5 hours a volatility setup to the upside.
Forgot
That would be
about
nuts.
one. Yeah, that would be nuts.
You might get
You're
one of
getting
those
literally
rapid
everything.
moves to retest the breakdown.
Exactly. Like you're getting a lot of things that are just like everything is telling you this should go up, and it's even having volatility set up.
Look at this one
So
on the daily. It's
I
never
just-
been below 15% either.
I just have some personal bias against this company though, because
I
this is
hate
the
it.
company back in the day of solomondering.com that people would always try to like shit on me for liking Tesla and be like, oh, these guys and Nikola would put Tesla out of business. I just
Yeah.
don't like them. I don't like Nikola or Friday Future.
No. And by the way, they're bullshit companies. Like I said, they asked my friend that was a comedian to run the company, which makes no sense. So this is a scam. But I don't care about scams as long as you're, as long as you're giving me a chance on a lottery
on the
ticket
other
to win some
side.
free money.
Yeah,
take
you're on the other side making money.
The whole crypto market is a scam, so
That's what I'm saying,
can't
dude.
really
Like,
say
come on.
Yeah, can't really say much.
True. No, literally. Yeah, and I know nothing about this company at all. I really am just a guy who clicks buttons, fundamentals I know nothing about, but the chart itself looks pretty good.
Yeah, even the 2 month, this is maybe the first time it's getting above the 5. Yeah, kind of.
I think so, yeah. It's not looking
Wow.
too bad. I'm actually wanting to get in at $2. I just think it's easy shekels. Very easily can make like a 2x on this.
Yeah. Yeah,
Says someone
yeah,
at the top.
exactly.
Yeah.
This could be just a lower high, right? And then just
Just a
fucking turn
liquidity
around and
grab.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, it's just forming decent structure. It really is.
It
with
is.
volatility setups.
It's
and shit, like,
playable.
yeah.
It's playable for sure.
Of all the meme stupid shit, this is the only one that I've seen that if I'm looking at a chart, I'm like, oh, interesting. The only one.
Yeah.
So I'll take that. Y sí, tenemos setups de volatilidad en toda la tabla, que es bastante extraño. Nunca habíamos visto eso, ¿no? En la semanal pueden ver el único setup de toda la historia que ha estado por debajo del 15%, lo dio acá. Y eso nos ha llevado hasta acá y continúa expandiendo, y a esta cosa le gusta estar más en extremos que no. Entonces, esto en la semanal. Pongo la de 2 semanas. La de 2 semanas también está preparando el setup más potente de toda la historia. Faltan 4 días y unas horas para cerrar. 4 días y 5 horas, y eso nos debería de continuar empujando. Y de nuevo, a esto le gusta estar en extremos a la alza. Mensual, tienes volatilidad cayendo. 2 meses, estás hasta arriba. Y también acá, ya por fin, todo esto ha sido una caída. Y cuando tienes, y por eso cuando estamos viendo en alta temporalidad la volatilidad contraer, esto te está diciendo que va a dejar que vaya el lado contrario. Es una corrección. No es que esta chingadera se va a ir a $180,000 otra vez. Es una corrección dentro de esta potente caída que ha estado en extremos por cuánto tiempo. Y es justamente lo que estás viendo, esta corrección darse. Déjame, veo solamente por estúpido, no tiene nada que ver. No tenemos ningún promedio de nada. El promedio del 5 está ahí arriba. En 10. Vean cómo está cayendo el promedio del 5. Nunca había visto algo así. Caer en línea recta, tal cual. Esto nos haría pensar, ¿no? Tal vez tocamos un fundillo por ahí, tíos. Pero los voy a llevar a la diaria, y en la diaria vamos a hacer magia. ¿Por qué? Porque una vez más, en junio retesteamos el S&P 200. No pudimos con él. Y después lo rompimos a la alza, nos apoyamos, expandimos, retesteamos el 100, un SFP, y después volvimos a tomarla, retesteamos y empujamos a la alza con cruce plateado y todos nuestros promedios en orden por acá. Tenemos una vela topera, efectivamente. Esta vela no dio seguimiento y esta vela sería la que daría seguimiento. Faltan 4 horas y 32 minutos. Idealmente nos gustaría cerrar arriba de 2.88, pero esto con cruce plateado puede venir a dar un retesteo y oportunidad de entradas al 2.55 hasta los 2.19. Ahora, pierde la zona de los $2, que es donde está el 100 y el 34 intercambiando lugares en la diaria. Y aquí es donde diríamos, tal vez esto no va a continuar a la alza, y esto fue un SFP y vamos para abajo. Pero hasta que no rompas esto a la baja, los $2 a la baja, esto tiene más fuerza para arriba que para abajo. Ahí lo tienen. Vamos al S&P 500, S&P 500, ES1, ES1. It's in the game.
It's in the game. It was back when I had that original PlayStation 1.
Oh, those were the times, dude. Those
Simple
were the
days.
times. You were still a fetus, and I was playing video games.
So on ES1, I'm going to start with the 6 month. And right now we are approaching a very, very major resistance area. And the reason I'm saying that is because we're right around the 95%, 97.5% to the 100% on the HPDR. The 100% is usually, or not usually, but this time around we had our major top in 2021 when we had the largest money printing operation in the United States, the history of the United States, and we topped out right around that 100%. So if we could not surpass the 100% during that type of liquidity situation, I strongly doubt that we're going to be passing it in during this run. While we don't have the similar type of liquidity, we also tapped that area around like 2006, 2007. I don't remember what was happening back then in terms of like liquidity because I was in elementary school, and over here you're above it because you just don't have the history for the HPDR to populate. But so the idea behind that is I strongly doubt that it's going to get above that 6,800 area, because that would be your 100%. And what goes along with that 6,800 area as a major resistance is if you look at your 78.6 and your 88.3 right now on the quarterly, that is sitting right about 68.96 to 69.68. Right now, what you want to see is a close over the 50%, and that's what takes you in the next, I would assume, maybe 3 to 4 candles to tap that 88.3% to 78.6%. And that 61.8% level is about 64.50. If you can close over 64.50 on a quarterly basis, that's what takes you up to that 6,800. Right now, momentum on the quarterly is flipping to the downside, but it hasn't confirmed. It will confirm in about 2 months and 3 days. If we close, let's see what we need to close below that 61.8%. So as long as we're closing below 64.49, this momentum is likely to confirm to the downside. And if you notice, we have a lower high here on momentum, the higher high on price, that's going to confirm some bearish divergence. And on that quarterly bearish divergence, I would have a minimum target of, say, hitting somewhere around this bottom 38.2%, which is somewhere around 5,000, 5,100. And this 21 EMA on the quarterly is slowly going to rise. And by that point, probabilities are it is going to be somewhere in that zone. And if you notice what our quarterly 21 EMA, what the significance has been, this has been major support for many years. We tested it in 2020 on the COVID crash. We front ran it a little bit in 2022. We had the silver cross and then the reclaim around 2011. The only time really where we really broke it, where we had enough history, was in 2008. But I think it's fair to say 2008 was a little bit of a black swan. Monthly is now flipping to the upside. We took out all of our monthly previous lows, putting in the opposite of what we have on the quarterly right now, which is possible hidden bullish divergence. The divergence, we did make a local bottom, so the divergence confirmed on this candle here, and that gives us a minimum target of hitting somewhere around that 38.2%, which right now is at about 65.34, slightly above that 64.49 number. Because if we tap this 38.2% and we close above the 38.2%, that would activate that move on the 6 month to going to tapping somewhere around that 6,800 area. I'm still not sure if the cycle top will be somewhere around 7,000 or not. I kind of feel like 7,000 might be a trap, like how 100,000 Bitcoin was in 2021. Let's measure. Let's go to the jewel. Right now, the jewel is very close to giving you a bearish cross with the pink crossing below the yellow. The hopium is that it hasn't happened just yet, and right now we have lost the sell signal. The way to avoid that cross would be basically closing anywhere over the median. That would be about 6,313. If you were to close over the median, that would have the pink and the yellow lines revert, like basically go in the opposite direction, and that would take you towards somewhere around 6,500. It doesn't make it impossible for those to cross again. You would just have to continue seeing closures over those 38.2% levels, because otherwise, eventually, that gives you the HPDR target of the bottom 38.2%, which goes along with the jewel crossing bearishly. 2 week is also telling you that you're getting to a very extreme resistance area by getting over the 95%. Right now, what's going to be your indicator of a short-term or medium-term pullback is going to be a closure below this 95%. That's about 63.98, very similar to the 63s number that we saw before. And the only pullback you should be looking for if you lose this 95% is going to be a shallow move down to the 5 EMA, wherever it is at that time. Right now, the 5 EMA sits around 62, 62.20. Momentum is at extreme highs, and volatility is also at extreme highs. It makes a lot of sense to get a pullback from here. Weekly is still holding over the 78.6%. Not the most bearish. Momentum is trying to flip back up. We haven't confirmed it confirmed it back over the moving average just yet. We would need about 4 days and 6 hours and hold above this 78.6%. More specifically, hold above this candle's close, which is about 64.20. If we can hold over that area on the weekly close, then it's more likely that we'll just chop around here, somewhere between this 88.3% and the 78.6% until we go to new highs. Right now, the jewel just gave us a bullish cross on the weekly as well. It's not as powerful of a cross because it happened within the bullish control zone. 5 days now flipping to the downside, putting in bearish divergence with volatility contracting, and the 5 days also put in that bullish jewel cross. Two days very close to confirming a breakout. We want to see a close over this blue 38.2%. That level is about 6,414, and it goes along with momentum starting to flip to the upside, taking out our previous lows, putting in hidden bullish divergence. If we do close like this, though, I would expect somewhat of a pullback because that would be kind of a shooting star candle. And the pullback area would be somewhere around the median towards the 9 EMA. And that is at about 63's area. Daily. Daily is now also showing an indication of a short-term pullback. And what you want to see is a close below about 64.33, 64s once again, and that's what takes you towards that 63s. 63s, I do think is going to be the opportunity to buy because that'll put in hidden bullish divergence on your weekly and 2 weekly. Daily have as well? Yeah, daily also has bearish divergence. For the daily, you would have to close below 6,401. 4 hour. 4 hours also now flipping to the downside. Is there any divergence? There's also bearish divergence on the 4 hour. 4 hour bearish divergence confirmed on this previous candle close. Right now, your target from that divergence would be somewhere around this 21 EMA, which lines with the median. It's about that 6,400 number. And if you get, I would say you can even use a 4 hour close below about 6,400, and that gives you your move to about 63.30. Right now, 4 hour jewel is also starting to flip over and give you a God mode sell signal. And the jewel is also putting in bearish divergence. Switch to RSI. Actually, with this one, I'll just do stochastic. Probably be a lot more effective.
By the way, I got just completely random. I got an email from a collections company, but this is a good thing. A collection company in the movie business. That's a company that you hire to make sure that you get paid by all of the Jews around the world that control the industry around the world. And I was like, fuck yeah. They're sending me because they're like, it's a payout for one of my movies. How much money you think I'm getting? This is like I haven't gotten a residual check in a decade.
$50,000, I'd say.
50?
Yeah.
I'm getting $640.
You can buy a new PlayStation.
What the fuck? Damn. Fuck.
A lot of mucho dinero, senor.
I guess. Fuck.
Also, now we see the 6,800 area again with this long-term Fibonacci extension that I had drawn, and that 261.8% area is right around. Oh, I'm retarded. My eyes are very bad. That's 66. Momentum is currently flipped to the downside and is going to remain flipped down as long as we're closing below 63.87. And we are currently above that, but we have a long time left to go, about two months and 3 days. If we do flip to the downside here, did we make the higher high? Yep, that's a lower high. That would give you bearish divergence on the quarterly, on the stochastic as well as the jewel that we have right now. Monthly also has that bearish divergence, and monthly is very close to getting volatility expansion. monthly is going to remain flipped up as long as we're closing below 62.75. So if we were to lose that area, that's what's going to confirm the monthly bearish divergence also. Let's see how much of a move we had last time we had the derp of death. Confirmed it after this candle. Had some consolidation. 12%, 15%. That's pretty big for S&P. From here, 32%. Oh, okay. %. Usually about 10 to 15%. Let's just assume it's somewhere around here. Let's take it from the dot. Yeah, that's right in line with the average move. I would assume that from here that we would continue until at least that 6,600 area. Long term, though, there is going to be a pullback short term, most likely. 2 week is also currently still flipped to the upside, but also what tells you the pullback is due shortly is that volatility is now entering the high 80s. This likes to top out somewhere in the 90s, so we're very close to a local top, which goes along with the extremes on the HPDR. Weekly is currently flipped to the upside, but very close to flipping down. We have gotten the double extreme on our volatility, and now it looks like we are going into volatility contraction, which is going to give you a mean reversion. And right now we do have volatility expansion with the move to the upside. So the mean reversion would be either consolidation here or somewhat of a pullback. And we will flip down if we can close below about 64.29.50. 5 days well is now getting that volatility contraction after the double extreme, and we will flip down if we can close below about 64.31. 2 days getting volatility expansion after 2 double extremes, and momentum is currently flipped up, but it will flip down if you can close if you close below about 64.34. All of these time frames are around that 6,400-ish area. Daily momentum is now starting to flip. Daily volatility is now starting to expand from extreme lows, somewhere around very close to 0%. And momentum is currently freshly flipped up, and it will remain to the upside as long as we're closing over 64.17. Right now, with how the daily candle looks, I kind of am getting the slight bias that it's not going to close over that area. Let's go a little bit lower, and that'll help us. And the 4 hours kind of telling me that as well, because we are getting fresh volatility expansion from 2 periods of 0%, and momentum especially flipping to the downside, putting in bearish divergence, and we're going to be flipped down as long as we're closing below 64.55. So on the long term, the S&P has always looked bullish. I don't think there's a single time ever where the S&P has really looked bearish in the long term. Putting in drives of bullish divergence with momentum about to flip up on the quarterly. Monthly, however, has bearish divergence possible. This is where you start to get somewhat of a, I wouldn't say like scary zone or like bearish zone. I would say opportunity zone.
Yeah.
With the S&P, for something that's been going up only for the entirety of its history, for how much history it has, it's very easy to like have a higher probability of safety. On the short terms, it's starting to look a little corrective. You're getting momentum starting to flip to the downside on the 4 hour with volatility expansion from 2 periods of 0%. The area I would be looking for is somewhere around that 63s, and that's on a 4 hour, if you get a 4 hour close below about 6,400. That's 6,300 to 6,330. And based on the higher time frames, I do have the bias that it's going to bounce from that 6,300 area and go to somewhere around 66s. And if you can get I would use minimum daily close over about 66.85. That's what takes you towards somewhere around 6,800 to 6,900. I kind of would prefer the 6,900 number. And from there, I don't have anything on the HPDR on the high time frames. It's a 100%. So I would say it's a very low probability of going above there. But it's also possible that we chop around here for a couple of months, the HPDR range to step up, and then it can go to somewhere to 7,000. And the invalidation for all of this, let's go to the weekly, is getting either a tick below about 48.32 or a weekly close below 5,750. Those are the two things that would make me more medium term to long term bearish, and I would say, okay, we're going to get more likely a much deeper pullback, and we're probably going to break these areas, these lows of about 4,800, and probably going to be retesting these lows somewhere in the mid threes. I don't think that's going to happen, however.
Ever?
Maybe next year.
All right, let's motherfucking see what's going on over here. And then we got XRP, Alex, and then afterwards we got Tesla.
I'll do Tesla.
All righty. Estamos viendo el SP500. Este es el ES1, exclamación. Eso es el ES1, que simplemente es ¿cómo se llama? Es son futuros en CME, ¿no? En el Chicago Mercantile Exchange, pero este es el SP500, básicamente. Voy a ponerlo en la de 3 meses, para que puedan ver exactamente qué clase de movimientos ha tenido. Desde el 2000, que son los tempranos 2000, este fue abril del 2000, esto fue el 2007, hizo un doble techo en el pecho y desde entonces literalmente nunca ha vuelto a hacer eso, simplemente ha estado subiendo, subiendo y subiendo. Entonces, esto es una postura muy alcista, tenemos todos nuestros promedios muy en orden, tal cual como se debe, y también tenemos esta expansión que pueden ver acá de volatilidad que nos ha llevado de este punto de los 4,800 hasta los 6,400, que es casi donde estamos en este momento. Estamos en 6,426. No puedo decir que no. Ok, con eso en mente, déjenme los llevo a la de 6 meses rápido para ver si tenemos algo por ahí parecido. No, en realidad no. La de 3 meses tiene expansión y vamos a ver acá en la mensual. Empezamos a ver que también en nuestro gráfico mensual vamos a tener expansión de un punto bastante bajo, no el más bajo de toda la historia, el punto más bajo de toda la historia fue en agosto del 2015, pero por ahí andamos, lo único que queremos es ver cómo podemos pasar por encima de este promedio, que es la línea blanca, y una vez que lo hagamos, oficialmente estaremos expandiendo esta volatilidad. Estamos siendo altos más altos. Ese alto que les prometí, histórico, lo estamos rompiendo y rompiendo y rompiendo. Recordemos una cosa, esto está siguiendo a Bitcoin. Vamos 40 días después, ¿ok? Fue la misma recuperación en B que tuvo Bitcoin cuando todo el mundo dijo que Bitcoin se descorrelacionó. Por favor, dejen de escuchar a todas esas cosas. Todo el riesgo en el mercado es lo mismo. Simplemente tiene un diferente X en cuanto se mueve. Los índices se mueven menos que las acciones. Por ejemplo, el índice donde está Tesla se mueve menos que Tesla mismo y cripto se mueve más que todos ellos. Entonces, Bitcoin va a tener más volatilidad. Y también Bitcoin va adelantado al mercado. Bitcoin cayó primero, Bitcoin se recuperó primero. Lo mismo pasó con esto. Así que solamente tengan eso en mente. Y yo diría que vamos contados por ahí de 40 días adelante en cripto. Lo que estamos viendo en los mercados tradicionales. Ok, vamos a poner el HPDR, vamos a quitar nuestro plumoncillo. Por ahora, estamos simplemente a punto de expandir este gráfico mensual. Estamos por encima de la media está en los 6,313. De poder aguantar los 6,313, nuestro siguiente objetivo debería ser el 61.8%, por ahí de los 6,740, básicamente. 2 semanas nos está diciendo que estamos bastante arriba en esto. Ya habíamos pasado el 95% y ahora vamos a buscar ese 97% en los 6,570. De poder aguantar esto y romperlos, estamos hablando ya de los 7,000. Ese para mí fue mi objetivo, que lo puse hace un rato en a dónde podría llegar el SP500. Y al mismo tiempo también vean que la de 2 semanas tienes esta expansión de volatilidad ante este subidongo y estás llegando a extremos. Ahora, en esta temporalidad no le gusta estar tanto en extremos. La última vez que vimos extremos locos fue en el 2020, ¿ok? Para que lo tengan en mente. Entonces, puede que no estemos tan lejos de llegar al tope, que parece ser normalmente topa por esta zona, nuestra volatilidad en el 93%, estamos en 87%, lo que diría que los 6,500, y esto ahora entiendo por qué dice Farhan que los 7,000 podrían ser una trampa, suena que los 6,500 podrían ser el tope antes de un ajuste. Ajuste, no el fin del mundo, señores, ajuste. Semanal, tenemos también, estamos en el 78.6%, queremos llegar a la parte alta del 88.3%, que está en 6,500. Eso da más confluencia a lo que estamos diciendo. Ahora, esto no le da pena llegar al 97% o al 100%, lo hemos visto antes, y eso está entre los 6,700 y los 7,600. Así que también no nos pongamos tan locos los 7,600, no mamen. Todo puede pasar, eso sí. No les voy a decir que no. He aprendido eso a las malas, así que ahí me voy a quedar con el hocico bien callado. 5 días, tenemos una vela algo estilo topera por ahora, pero está aguantando, todo sigue muy alcista por todos lados, no hay ni dónde tirarle un pero. Tuvimos esta expansión de volatilidad ante esta caída antes, esto fue la caída de principio de año, y después se quedó literalmente hasta corregir, y la volatilidad está cayendo en estos momentos. En lo que estamos en el 78.6%. Queremos aguantar arriba de los 6,386, pero tenemos probabilidad de corregir hasta los 6,280 si es que llega a haber una corrección en temporalidades más cortas. Diaria tenemos expansión de volatilidad justamente acá que nos va a confirmar el día de hoy, una vez que cierre esta vela en 5 horas y 8 minutos. Vamos a ver si la expansión de esta volatilidad va a ser a la alza o a la baja, y lo vamos a saber el día de hoy. Aquí podemos ver una corrección hasta los 6,370. De no aguantar esa zona, vamos a ir a los 6,290 y parece ser que por ahí deberíamos de aguantar con un peor escenario en los 6,220. Es un movimiento de qué tanto para una corrección. De 3% en el SP500 en el peor escenario, es como lo estamos viendo antes de poder continuar. Por ahora puedes ver que todas las temporalidades se ven alcistas, menos cortas, lo que nos empieza a sugerir. La trimestral, por ejemplo, tiene momentum apuntando para arriba, pero la mensual podría empezar a presentar divergencias bajistas. Y ahora ahí es donde nos pone un poco donde estamos con Bitcoin en este momento. Si todo esto continúa y simplemente aguantamos nuestros niveles, Bitcoin era 118,350 el día de hoy, el SP500 aguanta arriba de 6,370 el día de hoy, vamos a continuar a la alza. Y si no, vamos a empezar a ver estas cosas darse y ver retrocesos. Por ahora no tengo nada más que un alto histórico con esta vela diaria, y después de hacer un alto histórico necesitas buscar un bajo más alto. Así que si vemos una corrección, que esto simplemente viene, tienes dos sopas, ¿no? Que venga por acá y rebote. Esta sopa, la primera sería servida en 6,370. La segunda sopa sería vendida en el 6,300, 6,298 para arriba, y podrías venir hasta acá al 6,227 sin problema alguno antes de rebotar. Pierde esta zona y nos estamos viendo del otro lado, se volvería esto bajista y empezaríamos a ver cómo en otras temporalidades empezamos a romper estructura. Simplemente aguantar los 6,240 va a ser clave, porque esto te pone en estos mínimos. Si te los llevas, vas a estar hablando de 5,900 y eso se pondría bastante loco, pero por ahora, con que aguantes en esta zona de los 6,300, vas a estar del otro lado hasta los 6,250, básicamente. 6,250, que sería otra oportunidad para agregar a tu posición a largo plazo, efectivamente. Y ahí lo tienen, damas y caballeros. Vámonos con XRPP. Boom, 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 boom. What the fuck? There it is.
Nice. Awesome. Cool.
Man,
XRP.
honestly, I cannot thank StreamYard enough for like absolutely destroying the good flow that they had going on with their software and just making it way more complicated for no reason whatsoever. Thank you, StreamYard.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
you.
And always the watermark too. The watermark, trying to get free advertising, the plugin.
I hate it with a passion. Like the balls that these people have. It's like when you go wrap a car, pay full price, and they put their sticker like, "Hey, come get more." Like, fuck you, dude. I paid for your service.
Yeah, that's absurd. Wow.
Crazy.
That's also what I hate about dealerships that put those like aluminum badges on the back of your car with their names and their logos and shit. Then you have to go pay to get that shit taken off.
Yeah. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah. So XRP to me is looking quite bullish. I mean, we were talking about this channel. If it was going to be true, we were going to see volatility, true volatility with XRP in July. And bulls actually stuck the landing and got the breakout. Now, for me, we're really watching, simply this 5-day EMA 9. This 5-day EMA 9 likes to be respected when XRP is going super bullish. And I just simply want to see that hold, and that is currently at $2.79. So this most likely does move to like $2.80, but that still can give you a bias that if you did get a pullback around that zone, you'd simply want to see that hold as support, leading to potentially, another shot at the $3.60 region. We had a very valid breakout from this channel. And so if, let's say we had a deeper pullback, let's say the 5-day EMA 9 got lost, we'd then be gauging maybe a move, possibly a wick down to actually retest the channel. That hasn't been retested, and we just simply broke out from that point. Now, so that would be a pretty deep pullback. Wouldn't be the best, for XRP bulls, of course, but it's still, would be looked at as bullish, and I'd still want to see that hold. And we see even the 38.2% is around that zone in the low $3. No, my apologies, $2.40. So, in theory, if we did go all the way down to that zone, it still would be in a breakout and still be quite bullish. This did put in a 5-day higher high. So in theory, you would just get a 5-day higher low. Yeah, nice chart though. Very clean chart. It's crazy because XRP bulls really did just have all the max opium buying this when it was just in the cents, truly. And they'd always talk about this, and it's funny to see it just solidly hold that $1.95, and then just it popped right back to $3. It's crazy because I remember when it was just in the gutters, absolute gutters. So well done, XRP bulls. I don't think this will ever reach $20, so I will say that. I just don't think that'll ever
How
happen.
dare you say that? I
I'll just
have
throw that
a
in there.
community member badge, and he tells me that we're going to reach $21. That's going to be nothing. The U.S. is going to pay their debt with XRP. I know everything about XRP. It's also going to make me breakfast and get me a hot wife.
Make it you a hot wife, because you probably, if you really believe that, you probably were the person buying around here.
That's true.
But
It's
yeah,
easier to get the hot wife from XRP than
it
breakfast.
is, because you can
But
probably have a lot of money.
the one thing I like though is that how XRP is gonna make everybody rich, but then when anyone sells any XRP, they get shit on. So if you're not allowed to sell, what's the point of it going up?
Bro, act like a rich person and just get a loan on your crypto. Remember, banks are now counting cryptos as
Lord.
collateral. And not stable coins. No, it's not meant for stable coins. No, it's meant for cryptos. Absolutely. Can I give you a loan using collateral that can be worth 80% less in a year? I'm dying to do so. Is there any way I can do so? Because that's what we all believe, right? Because we're all fucking crypto retards.
Apparently.
Unbelievable.
I mean, didn't FTX kind of do that?
It's crazy how there was a couple of companies in 2021 that would give you loans based off of your NFTs, and then when those NFTs went down 99%, the loans were liquidated.
Dude, I was on 3 of those loans on 3 NFTs that I had, that I paid like 10,000 for each one, some shit like that. So I was like, oh, I want some liquidity. I pulled money out, and FTX happened. And then everything went to shit. And I was like, I'm not paying back the loan. Get the fuck out of here. I'm keeping the money.
Oh, that's smart. Yeah, because that is
like
what happened.
$500.
Yeah, people you didn't have to pay technically.
No, if you didn't pay, the other person got the NFT. Pretty cool. Except they paid $10,000 for it, and I didn't. I kept the money.
Oh, that's amazing.
Terrible, but it's true.
Yeah, so I mean, XRP is very bullish. There's really nothing else to say, but just watch $2.79. I want to just in theory see that hold. If you start losing $2.79, you may get a deeper pullback. That deeper pullback may come around that $2.40, like $2.20. Now it's a big range, but this is an altcoin, and it still moves very much like an altcoin. You can't have deep pullbacks that just lead to higher lows before the real move. I mean, very predatory in nature to have a move like this, but that is how altcoins are. This would be the most bullish scenario, but if you did really get this, it still wouldn't be crazy, and you just get that 5-day bullish retest. That most likely means that Bitcoin does probably break down from that 118.
I also like what you got there on that white line. The white line on the left, on the top, basically.
Top here?
Left. Yeah. If you do a continuation of that line, I feel like that could be support right there, because that's been such an important place for XRP that it literally hasn't been able to close more than a little bit above. So that could be an interesting retest.
No, that's a good point. Wikai rejection, you see it. You just can't hold it. Once you start losing this, let's just even go to a 2-day. I mean, once you start losing this, that is kind of where you get your deeper pullbacks. So yeah, great point, actually. I just literally extended that using this wick high. And again, super bullish assets like what we saw with gold and what we've seen with Bitcoin simply can just retest wick high rejections, flip into support, consolidate a bit. That causes daily BBWP to reset before you just go back up. So that's actually a good point. Let's see here on the weekly. Already have the reclaim. We're holding it. So, you know, this week's going to be important. Let's see if we can actually close above. I do believe the weekly can hold just simply the 5. Yeah, we can actually start going back. Next target simply would be just testing this, you know, high. We break $3.65. Let's see here. Yeah, you actually could start seeing $4. $4 come into play.
So how many days until $21 though?
Unsure about that. We'll have to see though, because we'll say that, and you know, maybe next year, maybe in 2 months it's there. Who knows? But yeah, I don't think so, because
haven't you heard that Brad Gargling House or Garlic House or whatever his name is going to be the next Treasury Secretary?
That'd be incredible. That would be fucking fantastic. Fantastic. Aren't they going to make Bessent the new Fed guy too?
I think so.
Yeah, I think that's what they're saying.
Yeah, because I mean, Jerome's contract ends 2026. No, he either has to be renewed or chopped or axed.
I honestly don't know when his contract renews.
I'm pretty sure.
I know.
Right?
I think so. Yeah, 10 years.
2026, Mr. Garlic Bread.
Yeah, I mean, simulation confirmed if that is the case, and we get like some crypto degen being in the Federal Reserve. That'd just be really funny. But again, it wouldn't be, you know, we're in a simulation. So
well, everything is going to be crypto either way, right? With stable coins. So at the end of the day, by the way, did you guys see that the US through PayPal and I can't remember what else, they're asking people to donate money to pay off the debt?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Dude, anyone that sends money, that's like an IQ test, right? Like a live IQ test. Like, how stupid are these people? It's like kidnapping them, raping them, and then being like, hey, who wants to go on a date with me? You're rapist and you're kidnapper. And I feel like those people will be put in a little folder somewhere that when it matters, they'll be deployed or used for something. Like they'll be tested on like lab rats or something. Because imagine, dude, you're fucking giving the United States money to keep spending more. Oh.
No, I was shocked that was a real thing too.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Maybe they don't deserve that money. They
don't
respect it that much.
Yeah.
It's like sending your Bitcoin to Peter Schiff for his Bitcoin fund.
I don't understand why people do that. And then he goes, and I'm never going to sell it. So he's like a professional hodler too.
Like what? Yeah, that's surprising. I thought he honestly got hacked or something when he posted that.
No. But he also said that he dated like a 17 or a 16-year-old when he was an adult. So I don't know.
He said it's not. It's not pedophilia.
Yeah. By the way, there's
Yeah.
other people streaming now, like at the same time that we do these. Well, and they're also streaming trading. Dude, their shit's so boring. I can't believe throw in a little sauce, guys. Come on. Throw in a little sauce. You
yeah,
can't fucking
literally.
have people for 3 hours without making a little joke or two or a fart joke at least. Come on.
I've seen that. They take it seriously. I feel like I'm watching like those boring news channels when I'm watching some of the other people. I don't know.
It's like the weather
Very
without the hot girls with the big asses. Like, who gives this
basically.
shit?
Yeah, people seem to think that they need to look sophisticated to be taken seriously.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to put a little sweater around my neck. You'll see how much people are like, wow, that guy's really smart. If only he was wearing glasses. Wait, he's got glasses. Oh, my God.
This
More
is
like
suit and
that guy
tie.
is really gay.
Sorry, Alex.
No, all good. So XRP versus Bitcoin, in my opinion, is the most important chart. Going to the weekly here, it just kind of, again, just solidifies what we're saying on the XRP tether pairing. This is the spot that generally doesn't hold. And then when you don't hold this on the weekly, this is where you get your deeper pullbacks. You can just simply see it each time. Rejection, like this is a big spot for XRP. And more within this range, if we just focused here, it has not been able to really hold this. Now, when it can hold it, this is when things really become very fun. Big breakouts occur right here. So, this gives you confluence that in the next 6 days, it's going to be quite important to see XRP hold where it's at on the Bitcoin pairing and also on the Tether pairing. And if you are going to be very bullish on this, then you really do want to start seeing this 2658 level hold. Understand that you easily can take out this wick, get that pullback on XRP, maybe retest this 9, but you just don't want to see any closing bases on the weekly under that 2658 level. And it's an altcoin. It very easily can do that on like a daily, get volatility to the downside, retest the SMA 200, daily EMA 34, then pop back up before the weekly close. But preferably, you just don't want to see any weekly closures below that. This is interesting as well. On the monthly, you're about to reclaim the EMA 100. You did this one time here, and that was in the beginning of this year, and then you just didn't hold it. And then you just fizzled out, went to the 9, got another bounce. Now, when we saw Bitcoin dominance do this, when it first reclaimed the 9, it did put in a new high. So when I look at XRP versus Bitcoin, I really do want to see where the monthly closes, because if you are going into August as a bull on XRP, this will just kind of solidify it. This will slightly shift up. And then, in theory, if you can hold the 2658 into August, you should see a nice move up. So really, to me, it's like the next, you're actually, going to get major volatility. Not only do you have all that news that's coming in, but, you have a monthly close. I always forget that, but whenever you just get that monthly close towards the end of the month, right before the close, you just get a lot of volatility. The weekly's telling me the next 6 days is going to be quite important for Bitcoin, for XRP. And so I'd be watching very carefully. But in theory, this should be holding. Let's check the daily here. So the longer we can hold, and I'd like to see specifically bullish consolidation above the 9. So what you can see is this can easily just do a nice swipe down, test to lows here. But if we could get above the 9, consolidate, this could cause the BBWP to move down, giving us a setup. And that's exactly what we saw with the tether pairing. It is just consolidating while we're getting potentially another volatility setup. And these are big. I mean, the last one was pretty major. I mean, pretty nice, 53%. Definitely not bad. So for me now on XRP, I'm really watching the 2658 number on XRP versus Bitcoin. That could be reflected on, we're holding that zone. The tether pairing does come down, but as long as you're holding above that $2.90 region, it is going to be looked at as bullish, because as we've seen here, this gave us a wick high rejection, major SFP, and then this again was like a fake out, and it was brought by reclaiming 290. So if you can't hold 290, it's going to give you implications that, yeah, you are going to test that weekly 9. That should, in theory, hold based on everything I said. Should be looked at as a bullish back test. If you start losing that, weekly 9 with also that 273 level, yeah, you'll be honestly right back within this range. 250 will be a real possibility, and possibly lower, right around that 220. If you start losing 220, yeah, I do think then you're going to get a move down to 150. So yeah, we'll have to see the next 6 days. Going to be exciting.
Let's see what XRP has to give all of their holders as a nice little surprise. So exciting to be an XRP
So
holder.
exciting.
I by the way, I hate that there's like clubs of people that literally just buy one thing and they're like, all right, this is all of our identity.
Yeah, it's literally cult mindset. It's crazy.
God bless them all. God bless them all. I hope they're having a good time and marrying their sisters and cousins. Doesn't backfire. All right. We Tesla right after, and then MPU. Wait. Eder already did this. Hang on. Yeah, MPU.
I don't think that's on. There's MPUR, but it's nothing.
Really?
MPU.
If not, we can do SUI.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Ok. Damas y caballeros, estamos viendo XRP, la moneda favorita de toda la gente. Pueden ver que estaba en un canal bastante chido, alcista, potente en la trimestral, velas por encima de la media, van muy probablemente a la parte alta, ¡pum!, buscando esa parte alta. Y simplemente la media, cuando la perdemos, es mercado bajista. Ese me hizo muy interesante y por eso lo puse así tal cual, para ofrecerles este punto de vista a todos ustedes. Porque siempre y cuando XRP esté por encima de toda esta media, que es esta parte. Vean lo derechita que me salió, ¿eh? ¡Wow! Siempre y cuando estemos por encima de esto, vamos a ir a topar la parte alta del canal. Estando abajo, la vas a ir a tocar la parte baja del canal, que es muy interesante esto, como este es el EMA 34, por cierto, en la trimestral. Y llega acá, se agarra básicamente de la parte baja del canal y justamente rebotamos ante la parte baja del canal y eso nos llevó al siguiente alto. Y es justamente donde estamos. XRP está cotizando en 3.14. 3.14 en este momento, buscando tener el cierre trimestral más alto en toda la historia. El cierre más alto trimestral de toda la historia había sido que fue 2.2. Entonces, 2.2 va a ser un punto pivote para esto, ¿ok? Me atrevería a poner una línea por acá. Déjame ver si me rifo a hacer algo así. Rápido, para tenerlo acá. Ok. En esta zona, justamente, en la trimestral. Es muy importante para mí esta zona. Muy, 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 muy importante. Tal cual donde estamos, y estos son los siguientes escalones, porque perdiendo esto, una vez más, puede que nos haga la jugada y que tengamos un drop, como una caída como esta, el 1.6, pero básicamente la vela, como sea, cerró por encima. Cerraste por debajo y pito. ¿Lo ven? Entonces, para mí esta vela trimestral, importantísima, aunque faltan 2 meses y 3 días para cerrarla. Así que suerte con la paciencia, mis queridísimos holders de XRP. Estamos en la parte alta de la zona azul, subiendo, superando el 50%, superando el 61.8%. Y nuestro siguiente objetivo debería ser la parte alta de esto, pero señores, esto se los digo, no va a pasar por ahora los $27. Simplemente es imposible. ¿Por cuánto valdría el total de XRP? Sería, aunque nunca puedes decir que algo es imposible, todo se puede dar en este maldito universo extraño. Por ahora estamos en la mensual, viendo cómo nos rechaza la parte alta del 38.2% de la parte alta de la zona azul. Intentamos haber ido a buscar ese 50% que está en los 4.15, pero fallamos, nos detuvo el canal. Por ahora, lo que nos gustaría ver si somos alcistas en XRP en corto plazo es una superación del nivel del 3.29. De poder cerrar esta mensual en 3 días y 8 horas por encima del 3.29, eso nos daría ese movimiento a los 4.15 y altos históricos. Pero de no hacerlo, podríamos ver una corrección tranquila hasta los 2.3, que está justamente la media, la línea meme, la media del mismo canal paralelo que construimos por acá, y esta media debería de aguantar. Este sería mi último escenario. De no aguantar esta media, iríamos a buscar este mínimo en el 162, y yo creo que una vez que nos llevemos este mínimo, ahí es donde la fiesta podría detenerse para XRP por un rato. No estoy diciendo para siempre, pero por un rato. Así que vamos a estar al pendiente de esto. Nos gustaría ver este cierre en 3 días y 8 horas por encima de de la zona azul. En la de 2 semanas estamos por encima de la zona azul, tenemos las dos velas que han topado con el tope de nuestro canal paralelo y por ahora estamos cayendo al 50% y nos está aguantando por acá. Siempre y cuando nos aguanten los 3.10, deberíamos de ir a buscar en nuestra siguiente vela los 3. Casi los 3.4, el 3.40 en realidad. Y también tenemos esta expansión de volatilidad ante esta tabla. Faltan 6 días y 8 horas para cerrar, para confirmarla, aunque tienes en realidad tienes una sesión ya confirmada con expansión a la alza. Lo único que queremos es que cuando cierre esta no nos dé confirmación de expansión a la baja. Esto parece ser simplemente un ajuste. Este ajuste puede de nuevo poder regresar a esta zona. Y esta zona es muy importante para nosotros y ahorita se los voy a explicar el por qué. Semanal. También tienes volatilidad expandiendo ante esta subida, aunque volatilidad empieza a darse un poco una frenadita. Vamos a ver si va a continuar o no. Por ahora, nuestro objetivo es poder cerrar por encima de esta línea meme en los 2.9. De poder lograrlo, deberíamos ir a buscar los 3.7. Es un alto histórico y también de ahí podremos hablar de los 4.15. Pero hasta entonces no podemos. Hasta entonces no se puede, tío. Tenemos que romper esta zona y empezar a cerrar por encima de ella. La de 5 días también teníamos volatilidad expandiendo ante este subidongo y en el subidongo estamos yendo de ladongo y ahora que estamos yendo de lado también nuestra volatilidad está llegando a extremos, está en el 86.9% y tiene cara de querer aguantarse, pero todavía no te dice nada de eso. Por ahora, aguantar por encima del 281 nos da más probabilidades de ir a buscar estos 347 y de poder cerrar por encima de los 347, que son los altos de estas velas, en cierres en la de 5 días. Eso te daría una probabilidad de ir a buscar los 491 en ese 88.3%. Pero hasta entonces, vamos a esperar a ver qué pasa. No, era la diaria. Y ahorita les pongo lo demás. En la diaria tienes volatilidad contrayendo y la volatilidad está contrayendo ante esta caída. Así que esta caída sugiere ser un ajuste. Por ahora, el promedio del 9 nos está rechazando y el promedio del 21 nos está aguantando en los 3.04. Lo que queremos ver es un cierre el día de hoy en menos de 7 horas y 42 minutos por encima de nuestro promedio del 9 en los 3.28, digamos 3.29, y eso nos diría que vamos a la parte alta, la parte baja de la zona azul en los 3.3, la media en los 3.50 y la parte alta en los 3.68, y eso nos pondría en máximos históricos, me parece, de XRP. Justamente, déjenme quito rápidamente el HBDR para explicarles rápido lo que estoy yo al pendiente de en esta zona. Voy a poner la de 5 días y lo vamos a manejar así. ¿Por qué ponemos esta línea meme en la parte alta? Ya saben cuál, la parte baja tiene toda esta confluencia de esta zona, pero la de la parte alta es importante entenderla. ¿Por qué? Tienes... Perdón. Tienes... Salud, Alejandro, gracias.
Salud.
Gracias, señor. Gracias. My life is so sad that I actually tell always myself salud when I'm alone.
I should start doing that too.
Why not? I don't see why you can't just wish yourself good, like wellness, right?
Exactamente.
Exactly. And this is why I'll die alone. Ok. Estamos viendo en esta zona y por lo que es importante fue en la mensual vimos este flechazo, estas dos velas por acá. Tuviste un cierre, pero no otro. Luego tuviste una toma de liquidez y luego no llegaste y ahora estás una vez más por encima de. Poder cerrar por encima de esta línea te va a decir que vas a dar el siguiente paso al siguiente nivel. Y el retesteo de esta línea debería verse de la misma forma. La semanal te pone la fotografía perfecta. Creo que es la de 2 semanas, la más fácil de ver. Sí. 2 semanas. Rechazo, cierra por arriba, cierre por debajo. Cierre por arriba, cierras por debajo. Y ahorita tienes este cierre por arriba, que ya lo tuviste. Es el primero y el más alto en todo, en la de 2 semanas. Este cierre fue en 3.47, en 3.45 y ahora estás cayendo. Pero esto ahora debería de convertirse en ¿qué? En soporte. Porque lo que primero es resistencia y no lo puedes romper, después debería convertirse en soporte. El venir a retestear la zona de los 2.90 debería de catapultarte a buscar este máximo histórico. Eso es lo que debería de ser. Y ahora, semanal. Semanal puedes ver un poco de lo mismo. Tuviste 1, 2, pero no un tercer cierre. 1, nada. Y ahora tienes 1, 2, y este sería tu tercer cierre. Tienes tu promedio del 5 en los 2.99, que podría ser tranquilamente retesteado, pero a XRP le gusta hacer cosas asquerosas. No me sorprendería ver un retesteo de esta zona del 2.60. Ahora, de nuevo, esa es una zona que pueden rápidamente ver cómo está tocando estas velas importantes. Tienes el promedio del 9. Podríamos venir a los 2.68, 2.65, etcétera, retestear ahí y explotar a la alza hasta el 2.5. Lo único que no quieres perder si eres alcista en XRP es esta zona, la de los 2.20. Pierdes 2.20 y va a empezar a salir el 1.6. 1.6 te llevas este mínimo y yo creo que ahí es donde nos empezamos a preocupar. Pero por ahora, XRP está en el escalón más alto en el que ha estado en esta tabla. Ha tenido 1, 2 y estamos buscando este tercer cierre semanal, que faltan todavía 6 días y 8 horas. Acabamos de abrir la semana y de poder lograrlo por encima de esta línea, debería de confirmar que esto es soporte y dar continuación a la alza. Perder esta línea rápido no causaría problema, pero también perderle una vez más como esto, pues te está diciendo que vas a tener otra corrección interesante. Y acá lo que habíamos visto nosotros, que fue lo que nos dijo que esto iba a reventar a la alza, pues sencillamente esto junto con esto. Y una vez que rompimos nuestro triangulito a la alza, pum, para arriba, siguiente escalón. Y ahora va a ser parte de el canal, literalmente mensual acá, poder mantener estos cierres por encima, todos por encima. Una vez que perdamos esta media y puedes conectar esto en un paralelo con este pico y este pico, así de fácil, y con eso te sale perfectamente este canalito delicioso. Y ahí lo tienes, donde el fondo fue soporte perfecto antes de la explosión a la alza, y ahora la alza, pues cada que lo tocamos tiene cara de que deberías ir a la parte baja del canal. La parte baja del canal sigue subiendo. Si llegáramos a caer estos días, estaríamos por ahí de $1. Así que tiene cara que el mínimo XRP para adelante va a ser por ahí del $1.90. Y una vez que rompamos esto a la alza, vamos a buscar esos 4 hasta los $6. Ya de ahí se pone completamente ridículo este pedo. Ahí lo tienen, XRP, damas y caballeros. Vamos con... What's next, señor? Tesla. The Nazi diners, the dining company.
If you eat one of these one of their products, you get cancer. The state of California warns you.
And Gavin Newsom has made a PSA about it, saying, "Hey guys, listen, I'm Gavin Newsom. I'm stealing all of your money through the homeless program, and you guys can't fucking realize that. You're all so stupid." Anyways, Elon Musk is on a mission. And his mission is to give food to people that pay for it. And here in California, we don't do that. We just give everything for free to everyone. And we hate Elon Musk. So if you go there and eat one of the burgers that causes cancer, you're going to get cancer and also probably banned from California. So you don't want to do that. You want to stay here with the homeless, surrounded by them, and eat their shit. Gavin Newsom out. Bye. Thanks, Gavin. Wow.
I really love how they put that on products. The state of this is known as by the state of California to cause cancer, and they put it on, which items.
On the fun ones, bacon, right? They also put it on bacon now. They say that bacon
they put it on
cancer.
that. They put it on anything from those dispensaries. Basically, everything from there says it causes cancer, which is complete bullshit. But so on the quarterly on Tesla, we are very close to flipping momentum back to the upside. What would likely confirm that momentum flipping back over the moving average is getting even a tick over this previous wick high, which is right now at about $367 or $367.71. The other way to do it is to get a closure over this median. Median right now is at about like $348, $349. Closing over the median would also, if you look at momentum, we made a higher low. So that would also give you a hidden bullish divergence. That would target, along with closing over the median, that top 38.2% at roughly $436. When we have volatility now sitting at extreme lows. And if you look at the jewel is now making a lower low from these lows here. Price action is making a higher low. That's giving you bullish divergence on the quarterly. Have you had a clip confirmed? Yes, this is a confirmed buy signal right now on the jewel. Monthly momentum is now flipping into the bearish control zone, breaking these previous lows. Price action is making a higher low. Monthly is now also giving you a possible hidden bullish divergence with volatility expanding from extreme lows. The jewel has gave you a bullish cross. When was it? In December, so that was a couple of months ago. And now we're seeing the jewel start to flip back down underneath the yellow. It hasn't quite invalidated the cross just yet. We want to wait until the monthly closure and see if we can start to get it to curve around. If it can't curve around, that would confirm your hidden bullish divergence. And the number you would need to close over to do that would be about $357.54. That lines up with the 61.8% level as well. 2 week is now starting to flip down on momentum. It hasn't confirmed. It will confirm in about 4 days and 4 hours. What will likely flip this back to the upside is if we can start to get a close over this previous candle's close, which is at about 329, let's say $330. Ideally, slightly higher to close over that 38.2%. That's at 350, and that would send you to the upper threes, very close to fours, somewhere around like 370-ish, roughly around there. And if you can get a 2 week close over about that 370 level, that takes you to that 400 level, which is just retesting our current all-time highs. 2 week right now is also putting in possible hidden bullish divergence. Weekly is still positioned to the upside. It's kind of flipping down, but it's still above the moving average. And we were just about to approach the median. Median's at about $336. The jewel now lost the sell signal, and we had a very recent bullish cross with a pink crossing above the yellow, and now we're looking for it to switch to the light blue buy. What's likely going to cause it to switch to that buy signal right away is going to be a close over that median at about $336. We can't consolidate here while this the jewel goes neutral for a couple more periods, and then that also will flip into a buy signal. Five days now also freshly flipping to the upside on momentum with volatility coming to extreme lows. The jewel's giving you a bullish cross on the 5 day also, and you're just about to approach the median, which is at a very similar level, about $335. The next level from there, if you close over the median, is the same 370s. I don't think it would go straight to 400. 2 days now also flipped up on momentum, getting into the bullish control zone. Let's see if we're making a higher high. Not quite, so there's no bearish divergence possible. There is also bullish divergence on the 2-day jewel. Daily is currently above the median, taking us to somewhere around that $346 number, which will bleed into the higher time frames, taking you into that 370. We have to watch today's daily close to make sure we close over that 323 number, and that'll take us towards the areas we need to close over to confirm our hidden bullish divergences. 4 hours now starting to flip up as well, getting out of the bearish control zone. Is there any divergence? No. What is this close? There is some very, very, very slight hidden bullish divergence, but it's a little far back, so it's not going to be as powerful. It confirmed on this candle close here, and already you've hit the easy targets because you're above all of your major EMAs. Only other level I could say from that divergence would be like 330, which is that median. And that's the level we would have to close over on a 4-hour basis. I'd say about 337 to be safe to close over on a 4-hour basis to confirm the move into 370. Check the RSI. Quarterly RSI still has hidden bullish divergence. It's going to be active as long as you're closing over $214. Your next move is into the simple moving average. Well, first is the neutral zone. Neutral zone is at about 359, very close to that 370 area. And the bullish control zone is, simple moving average is at about $500. $500 number has been long been prophesized. Monthly, nothing. Weekly currently has bearish divergence. It is arguable that it's played out because you have connected with your bearish control zone, and right now you are still hovering right around that bearish control zone. It will exit the bearish control zone if you close over about 334, which is right around the same number as that median, which was 333. Very high probability whenever they line up like that from two completely different indicators. Weekly, nothing. 5-day, nothing. 2-day is now about to confirm a drive of hidden bullish divergence on the RSI as well. We have about 1 day and 4 hours to go, and it will confirm with any close over about $323. And that will give us a target of the bullish control zone with volatility freshly expanding from extreme lows. The bullish control zone right now is at about 357. All lines up with that 360 to 370 area. I'm thinking it will go to 370 based off of the HPDR. And the critical zone also lines up with the $500 area. Daily currently has confirmed 3 drives of bullish divergence, and it will be active as long as you're closing above $300. Your next move is into the critical zone with volatility at extreme lows, and the critical zone is at about $414. Basically, the exact number as my meme line. 4 hour also has on the RSI that possible hidden bullish divergence, and it will confirm. It confirmed over here. And your next target is, I'm not sure why it's not populating on this RSI. That's why you need to be able to identify the divergences yourself and not rely on an indicator. And that will target somewhere around that bullish control zone, which right now is at about 340. Quarterly momentum is now freshly flipping to the upside, with volatility now going into an expansion phase from a very similar area where we had momentum flipping up and volatility flipping up when we got our multi-1,000% move. And right now we are putting in hidden bullish divergence just like we did back then. All of this, the same signs are lining up just like when we got a multi-1,000% move. I don't think we'll do that this time around. Maybe we do. I'm just looking for $500 to eventually get tapped. Right now, momentum is going to be flipped up as long as you're closing over about $211.50. And we are rejecting the bearish control zone. Monthly, however, is pointed to the downside with volatility contracting. And I do have the same idea as Bitcoin, where we're going to approach the bearish control zone of the monthly, and then the pivot likely drops significantly. Right now, the pivot is sitting somewhere around $348. 2-week is now freshly flipped to the upside, rejecting the bearish critical zone. Same idea I have for the monthly, rejecting the bearish control zone. And momentum is going to be flipped up as long as you're closing over $292. On this next open, we're projected to break out of the bearish control zone. So if we were going to be bearish, this pivot would have gone up. Weekly is now sitting at basically 0% volatility. Momentum is currently flipped to the downside, putting in possible hidden bullish divergence, and it will flip up if we can close over about $340. 5 days also has volatility at extreme lows, with momentum putting in possible bullish divergence, very close to flipping up, and it will flip up if we can close over about $338.50. And that will be a rejection of getting out of the bullish control zone. 2-week is now giving you fresh volatility expansion from extreme lows. Momentum is also freshly flipping up, rejecting the bearish control zone, and it's going to be flipped up as long as you're closing over $320. And 2 days now giving you a hidden bullish divergence on the stochastic, also as the RSI. On the stochastic, it's already confirmed. On the RSI, it's about to confirm. Daily is now also giving you a volatility setup with volatility at extreme lows. Momentum is currently pretty heavily pointed down on the daily, and it is going to be, but it has an easy pivot. Interesting. It has powerful vertical curvature. Usually, you would see a much higher pivot. It's quite bullish to see it that low, and you'll flip up on the daily if you close over about $332.50. I guess it's because that was the median. Very, very, very close. And would it do hidden bullish divergence? Not quite. Very close. 4 hours also now giving you volatility expansion from extreme lows. Momentum is currently pointed to the downside. See what the pivot is. And it will flip up if you can close over about $330. That $330 to $334 number seems to be the line to break to go towards about 400s. Flipping up here, the significance would be rejection of the bearish control zone. Just a little bit lower. Even the hourly is currently flipped to the upside, and it will remain flipped up as long as you're closing over about $315.50. On the high time frames, Tesla is now starting to look quite bullish to me, with the momentum flipping up on the quarterly, putting in hidden bullish divergence, rejecting the bearish control zone, and the pivot is very far from price action. That's actually very bullish thing to see. We're going to be flipped up as long as we're closing over 211. Monthly is currently flipped down, but I expect the same thing to happen on like on Bitcoin, where we approach the bearish control zone, the pivot drops significantly, and then the bulls flip it back up, putting in hidden bullish divergence. Even all the way down to the low time frames, momentum is starting to flip up, where we have hidden bullish divergence on the 2-day on basically every one of our momentum indicators. Right now, based on the low time frame momentum with volatility and the 2-day hidden bullish divergence, I would have a target somewhere between $340 to $370. If we can get, depending on the time frame closure, if we can get a closure over that $370 area on a daily basis, I think first we're going to get a test of our current all-time highs, maybe a little bit of consolidation or rejection at that point, and then I'm expecting that $500 area to be tapped based off of the RSI targets. The invalidation for this is getting either a tick below about $214 or a weekly close below about $270. I personally don't think that's going to happen. I think at the worst we'll consolidate around here, and then I do expect a bullish outcome.
Very nice, senor. Thank you. Let me ask you something. Have you ever heard people say that Bitcoin is that the government can't confiscate your Bitcoin when you have it in a cold wallet?
Yeah.
Then where is all that confiscated Bitcoin coming from?
I think they're probably taking their computers or whatever, finding the
or your wallet if they need to.
Just busting your door.
There's adults saying this. It's really concerning now. It's really concerning now. The government can't confiscate your Bitcoin. Yeah. They just confiscated all those Bitcoins that they have from all those thieves. It's fucking.
And people think they're safe by being in other countries.
Dude, it's incredible. It legitimately is fucking incredible.
There was this one Bitcoin influencer who was one of the first people to promote Bitcoin. I forgot his name. I think it was Bitcoin Jesus or something like that, who fled America to some Asian country. And he thought he was good. He had lived there for like more than 10 years. And one day, special forces came in and arrested his ass for evading $4 million in taxes.
Damn! So they went to go get him to another. But I'm hopeful that he had all of his money in Bitcoin in his cold wallet, because that's the way to maintain sovereignty, right? And nothing happened, right?
All his Bitcoin.
What do you mean? That's impossible. Bitcoin is unconfiscatable. That's what everyone says. That would be ridiculous if it's not.
The only way you could do it is basically forget your password because they can get it out of you and burn it if you have it written down anywhere.
Yeah, but they still, you're still never going to see it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, never. The
It's
best,
gone.
yeah, if you want to be a real piece of shit and really get away with shit, you know what's not traceable? Cash. Cash.
Yeah.
They can't find it with metal detectors, with nothing. You have cash, you stack your walls, you put it in your fucking basement, you put cement on no one will ever find it. And you can spend it. No one will know. Whereas your Bitcoin, when you go and spend it, they're going to know instantly because it's on chain. But hey, it's a hilarious narrative that adults, and I repeat this, adults, full-grown adults that have PhDs and MHDs and GZZs in their face and all of these things believe. It's incredible.
And people say you can't buy large items like cars with cash. Just go to one of those used little dealers, give them 20% extra. They'll make it work.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But if you pay those dealers with your already marked and super traceable Bitcoin, they're going to be caught alongside you. No? Isn't that the irony? Isn't that
And then
fucking
you'll both
hilarious?
get tax evasion.
Yeah, it's legitimately incredible how far away this narrative got away. It's so much fun. It's so much fun. It's so incredible. All righty, let's go. Tesla. After Tesla, we're doing SUI, and we'll go from there. After SUI, we're doing... One second, I'm looking at this bullshit. Apple. All righty. Tesla, damas y caballeros, aquí lo tenemos. Sin lugar a dudas, en postura alcista. Venimos de acá al 2020, recuerden, de esta gran vela topera que fue totalmente engañosa y nos llevó de básicamente los $28 hasta los 414. Ahora recuerden, esto fue porque Tesla hizo un split, o ha hecho dos, creo. Desde ese entonces, no estoy completamente seguro si fueron uno o dos, pero tiene splits porque la acción llegó a valer miles de dólares y de ahí haces los splits, como lo de Nvidia, que mucha gente ya no se acuerda, que Nvidia hizo un 10-1. Entonces, si ves a Nvidia ahorita en 170, vale $1,700 las acciones de Nvidia, cuando todo el mundo te decía que en $300 ya estaban carísimas. Es una locura lo que ha subido eso. En fin, Tesla continúa en esta postura alcista, haciendo bajos más altos a través de toda esta tabla. Lo puedes ver con la línea meme para arriba. Estamos viendo un gráfico trimestral. Tienes estos máximos, altos más altos, y después de hacer altos más altos, vienes a buscar un buen bajo, y de ahí te gustaría buscar un nuevo alto más alto. Es lo que estamos viendo. Si vamos a hacer un alto más alto o un bajo más alto o un bajo más bajo relativo, pero no más bajo total, ¿no? Siempre y cuando aguante el promedio del 34 por esta zona de los 190, debería simplemente continuar esta tendencia sin romperla. Mensual. Tenemos volatilidad contrayendo en la mensual. Además, que estamos justamente peleando con nuestro promedio del 9, que está en los 331. Lo hemos dicho varias veces. Queremos siempre ver nuestro precio de lo que estamos invirtiendo por encima del 9 mensual. Eso nos pone en posición, en una postura más alcista que bajista. Por ahora, simplemente tenemos que romper esos 331. Faltan 3 días, 4 horas para este cierre. Muy importante para todos los que son inversionistas en Tesla mantener un ojo en esto, porque aquí es donde vas a saber más o menos para dónde va el movimiento. Además del 9 está por encima del 5. Esto me demuestra un poco de debilidad ante el precio. 21 y todos los demás bien por abajo, pero es lo que estoy viendo ahí en la mensual. 2 semanas tenemos volatilidad también contrayendo, y está contrayendo uno de los puntos que no ha llegado desde enero del 2024, que nos dio este gran cagadongo para abajo. Vamos a ver para dónde nos da esta volatilidad. Por ahora, nuestro promedio del 5 está por encima del 21. ¿Dónde está el 9? Por encima, pero por nada. Justamente acá se encuentran 307, 306 es la zona básicamente a no perder en estos momentos. Y están el 9 cruzando por encima del 21. Esto es alcista. Nos gustaría ver esa fuerza en esto. Y es bastante sencillo. Pones este triangulito, güey, rompes esto a la alza que te lleva por encima de los 334 y vas a ir a los 370 mínimo. Ahí probablemente tengas un rechazo, un pullback para poder cementar esto como piso, porque recuerda, como lo estábamos viendo en XRP, esto no fue un cierre. Esta no cerró, esta cerró por debajo, esta cerró por debajo, esta cerró por debajo y esta cerró por debajo. Queremos empezar a ver cierres por encima de los 334. Una vez que tengamos estos cierres por encima de 334, esto se convierte oficialmente en soporte y esto podemos empezar a buscar esos altos históricos deliciosos. Por ahora no estamos todavía ahí. Vamos a la semanal. Semanal tenemos periodos de nula volatilidad, lo puedes ver por acá, preparando un movimiento bastante agresivo. También tienes por encima el promedio del 9, el 21, todos en orden y estás haciendo bajos más altos, pero no estás haciendo altos más altos. Quieres romper definitivamente esta zona. Una vez que rompas acá, tu postura va a ser de ir a buscar a llevarte esta vela topera maligna que sí funcionó e irnos a los 370. Ya de ahí, rompiendo los 370, volviéndolo soporte, como queremos volver soporte los 330, los 370 se llevan a 414 y de ahí ya estás hablando de máximos históricos, estando por ahí arriba. Pero por ahora todavía no estás ahí. Diaria, tenemos volatilidad también regresando a contraer al punto más bajo que ha estado desde acá en junio del 2025, nada mal, y desde entonces no lo habíamos visto tan abajo que desde el 2024, nada mal, buenos movimientos. Estamos en lo que está contrayendo nuestra volatilidad, estamos viendo cómo literalmente tenemos nuestro 9 y nuestro 5 justamente uno encima del otro, el 9 está por encima del 5, pero seguramente para la siguiente sesión van a cambiar de lugar. Todos los demás promedios parecen estar bien, menos el promedio del 200 que está por encima del 21, 34, 55 y 100 en los 320. Queremos que nos aguanten esos 320 para poder continuar a la alza, pero una vez más, se trata de solamente romper esta línea y crearla y hacerla soporte, porque si no podemos mantenerla como soporte, esto nos debería llevar otra vez para acá abajo a los 2.99 y eso nos debería llevar una vez más abajo. Voy a ponérselas bastante sencillas. La mejor forma de ver esto es la semanal, sin lugar a dudas. En la semanal, ¿qué estás buscando? Estás buscando literalmente romper de esta resistencia por aquí arriba, al 335. Quieres empezar a cerrar por encima. Cerrando por encima de 335, favoreces muchísimo a la alza. Hay que buscar los 370 primero. Después de ahí, queremos convertir los 370 en soporte para ir a los 414 y de ahí a máximos históricos. Pero, ¿dónde estamos si fallamos en esta cosa? La primera indicación va a ser caerte del promedio del 34 en los 309. Si pierdes los 309 y pierdes los 300, todavía tienes esperanzas de que aguanten los 270, 269. Si pierdes los 269, ahí es donde empezaríamos a buscar estos nuevos mínimos por acá en los 190, 188, pero hasta entonces somos más alcistas que bajistas y cambiaríamos de opinión si perdemos los 270 para abajo. De perder los 270 para abajo, te pone ya en otra posición y todo lo que estamos diciendo está completamente incorrecto, damas y caballeros. Ahí lo tienen. Mr. Alex, let's do Sui, Bui, Jui.
Wonderful. Let's roll it. Let's see here. Similar to XRP, actually. Just at a crucial level. You know, very easy to gauge this zone. You just simply kind of want to see this area hold. This is the zone. This yellow line is the zone where if it does hold, you'll see expansion up. My next zone actually for this, if let's say this $3.72 area does hold as support, the next zone for me will be right around that $5 region. But you will see quickly that if you can't hold this $3.72 region, this will lead to a deeper pullback. So in theory, any little dumps down to here should hold. You shouldn't see this low get tested, and $4.96 should be brewing. And again, we're seeing this across the board that the next 6 days is going to be quite important for crypto. Now the monthly too is putting in a nice little shift here where, you know, this was pretty solid resistance being possibly flipped into support. But again, not one closure confirms that. You need to see 2 to 3 actually confirm that to actually get the flip. So you very easily could start doing this, consolidating if bulls wanted to. You do see monthly volatility is at the lowest read ever but it's still in contraction phase. Or again, could play into a range where into August you retest this, move up. Maybe you don't get a breakout or a breakdown, and you just range. It's an altcoin. This range can simply be 32%, but a range nevertheless. And so for me now, it's a very easy gauge. You just simply want to see where the weekly is going to close. We can use the 2-day to kind of get an idea. So you have a higher high, you see the higher low. So we know that that stop loss right here makes sense. And if you do get it, let's say a deeper pullback, you have a 2-day silver cross. This very well could just form a higher low before moving up. Very easy chart though. Very nice. I'm unsure, I know Sui, but it is funny to see it looking so good actually, because well, usually it doesn't, or at least it's usually not on the radar to be looking good. I know I have a Bitcoin chart. Maybe I don't. Crazy, this wick here. Right here makes sense. Could be like a little range here. Nice. So, it bounced exactly where you would have expected it to. Let's go to the 2-week on this one. Had like a failed breakdown. Because keep in mind, if you lost this zone, this is kind of like the zone that does lead to, well, kind of death for this chart. So you had the chop here, double bottom. You had slight bullish price divergence here. And so now in theory, Bull's idea is they just need to take this high out. You already got the 2-week reclaim. You already threw it back. You got the bounce off the 34. You have volatility here pretty low. Plays into the monthly, which is at the lowest read. Coming in for a 2-week volatility setup. Any other time where you've seen volatility kind of get to extreme lows, like for example here, where this was at the lowest read in that history, and then you start to actually get above the moving average, led to a pretty epic bounce actually. Yeah, 113%. So, with this actually giving you a 2-week volatility setup, that does lead in the question of, is this really about to put in a major move up? Right, and there's criteria for that. And if this SUI versus Bitcoin chart is going to do that, well, we need this 2-week EMA 9 to hold. In theory, this 2-week low should be in. You don't really want to see this come back to around this low, because then you really do run the risk of coming back to this range lows here. You do need to start seeing this high taken out. So in theory, you should see bulls start moving up, taking the high out, and then just kind of consolidating around here, if anything. That could lead to this either starting to expand or reset fully for a volatility setup. Let's see. Let's get the Picasso drawing off. Got the little weekly reclaim here. So, in theory, yeah, you could very well go all the way down to that weekly 9, still wouldn't take out the previous weekly low, and then actually get a bounce up from here. Plays into that 2-day higher low idea as well. But just understand that you are at resistance on SUI versus Bitcoin. You already have that higher high on the 2-day. So again, a pullback really shouldn't surprise you. You should be gauging this. Very well could be like a range, and then you very easily could get a breakout. You just don't want to start seeing it, in my opinion, take out the last week's low. If you start seeing that occur, I do think then you'll get a deeper pullback. Because, if you come all the way down to here, yes, you'll be at the SMA 200 on the 2-day. Losing that confirms to me that you are going to test the range lows. And then there you might even get a breakdown. Don't really have much to draw here. Simply just keep taking it from each lower high. But my next objective would be right here. That's a pretty sizable pullback. I mean, 22%. So you definitely want, bulls to step in. Preferably, we get that shallow pullback, get that 2-day higher low, and then move up. And that is possibly what we could be seeing already. So let's see the HBDR now very quickly and to kind of see what we are dealing with. So you're at the 2-day median. go to the 2-week. Why not? And so you see we are above that 2-week median. You are actually getting an objective to $6.28. So when I see this, I'm like, yeah, that must mean then that the weekly volatility is firing off, because it's a pretty big move. Let's go to the weekly and see. Right at the point of breaking out. Very interesting. So it did close above it, I think. Yeah. So you should be gauging, this zone here, this pullback is more of an opportunity potentially. Five days still in breakout. So yeah, still very bullish. That's not very helpful. Yeah, so still very bullish. I mean, not really getting too much off the HPDR rather than the 5 days just in breakout mode. And weekly is pressing the top side of the 38.2%. Play what we know, play trend. Understand that really big moves down occur when you lose $3.73. This isn't a 2-day uptrend, so pullback makes sense. So long as we're not taking out the last week's low, this should be looked at as bullish. Any move down to that point should be bought up. I'll be looking at something like this. And again, it just plays into the idea that, this is just grinding out bullish structure and ideally not going to get something like this, like what occurred back in May. You don't want that to deviate, reject, because from that bearish retest, this led down 38%. So, it's kind of very easy chart to understand. You can just visually see it. You just need this zone to hold. So far, it really hasn't been able to. You only had one time where it held like this and it made a new all-time high. So yeah, that's kind of what you're dealing with. If you can hold above $3.73, specifically on a weekly close, not taking out the last week's low right here, right around that $3.50, I do think $5 will come up, and then possibly even making a new high on this chart. So important it's going to be an important weekly close and seeing kind of where this 2-day develops. But again, you'll know quickly where you're wrong on this, and that's if you start taking out this low. Again, the last weekly low, always do that. Let me go here, right there. If you start taking this out, yeah, I'm not really having a bullish bias on this then.
Makes a sense. Thank you so much, senor. Much appreciated. You got some SUI, huh? I want to fucking go to your house and steal your SUI unless you put it on one of those USB flash drives that no one can trace, not even the FBI. Either way, I'm back.
Or inevitably when he goes to zero.
Most likely that's what's going to happen. So fucking funny. Ok, estamos viendo SUI, me parece que es un L1, ¿no? En cripto, no, honestamente nunca la he usado. Yo sé que mucha gente lo ha comprado para especular, pero personalmente nunca he usado esto como Solana, etcétera. Y eso es no porque lo he estado evitando, como por ejemplo Ethereum, que lo evito hasta menos de que no tenga otra opción. Esto nunca se ha presentado la oportunidad de nada racional para usarlo, para mí todavía. Entonces, eso es lo que me gusta. No me gusta meterme en todo y volverme experto y usar todas estas chingaderas a menos de que las tenga que usar. Usé Cardano al principio cuando tenía que usar Cardano y nunca más tuve que volverlo a usar y nunca más he regresado. Lo que me dice es, no toques Cardano, ¿no? Entonces, uso Solana, me encanta Solana, es muy rápido, divertido, buen ecosistema, voy a usar Solana. Estoy viendo que Ethereum está haciendo lo que está bien, eso tiene sus usos particulares, pero SUI nunca lo he usado, no diciendo nada bueno ni nada malo de ello. Acá interesante el punto donde está, porque justamente acá pueden ver el Wicazo que estamos viendo en la tabla semanal. Esto salió apenas en el 2023, así que por el amor de Dios sean pacientes. No hay tanta información y tantos datos en esta tabla. Me atrevería a hacer esto y a poner esto acá. Este va a ser un punto muy importante para SUI, porque al cerrar por encima de esto, y puedes ver, solamente ha cerrado una vez. Las veces que cerraste por encima, fuiste a hacer tu alto histórico en 5.3. Pero Cada que cierras por debajo te regresa una vez más al rango y podrías venir a corregir simplemente a buscar un bajo más alto acá, si no te quieres volver negativo, ¿no? O sea, que simplemente venga para acá, vuelva a recargarse y vuelva a continuar. Lo que estoy diciendo básicamente acá es bastante sencillo, que si estamos volteando a ver SUI y estamos viendo en la tabla, estamos por encima del 5, 9, 21, 34, esto debería ser alcista en la semanal. Vamos a verlo en la mensual rápidamente, a ver cómo se ve. Tenemos volatilidad contrayendo al punto más bajo de toda la historia, lo pueden ver por acá. Esto nos dice que un movimiento agresivo se viene preparando para SUI. Estamos por encima del promedio del 21, encima del 9, que por cierto, habíamos perdido el 9 el mes pasado, lo retomamos este mes con fuerza y faltan 3 días y 7 horas. Eso es lo que quieres ver si eres alcista en SUI. Simplemente poder cerrar arriba de 3.37. Si llegas a perder los 3.37, esto instantáneamente, en 3 días y 7 horas, instantáneamente se volvería bajista en mis ojos. Dos semanas también tenemos el CERV de volatilidad más bajo de toda la historia. Bueno, la volatilidad en el punto más bajo de toda la historia en esta tabla, en la de 2 semanas en SUI, pero todavía no hemos visto nada. Y pueden ver acá justamente el por qué tenemos este canal medio, no es medio, pero este canal en nuestro canal, dentro de nuestro canal tenemos esta media que no es media, y la razón por qué es porque esta es una zona muy importante para romper. Queremos definitivamente cerrar por encima del 409. De poder cerrar por encima del 409, vamos a ir a buscar a huevo. A huevo. Oye, no todos los días recibes una transferencia medio melón. Vamos a ir a buscar esta parte aquí alta y de poder romper los 475 altos históricos se vuelve a abrir una vez más. Voy a abrir el HPDR ya en esta temporalidad, tal vez si nos dé algo de información importante. Ok. Podemos ver que estamos por encima de la media. Media está en 380, 382, aguantando por encima de la media y también nuestro promedio del 34 que va con esta línea meme perfecta y con la parte baja de la zona azul en los 2.8. Ahí es donde podríamos encontrar el siguiente bajo más alto. Y recuerda, después de hacer altos, un alto más alto, puedes hacer un bajo más alto y eso sería perfectamente normal en los 2.8. De aguantar esta zona y no llevarte estos mínimos, te va a dar más probabilidad de regresar a retestar la media en los 3.8 y de ahí la parte alta que está en los 6.28, ese sería un alto histórico. Semanal, con el HPDR también tenemos a SUI del punto más bajo de toda la historia, a punto de expandir por encima del promedio. Estamos siendo rechazados por la parte alta de la zona azul en este momento y podríamos caer tranquilamente a la zona de los 3.64 y eso podría aguantar o ir una vez más hasta la media, volver a retestear la media en los $3 y aquí catapultarte a la alza. 2 semanas, volatilidad después de expandir en esta subida, ahora está contrayendo, lo que probablemente nos está dando este movimiento correctivo. Estamos en justamente la media, la tenemos en el culete y de poder aguantar esta zona y los 3.9 deberíamos de volver a retestear, de tener permiso de ir a retestear esta parte alta de la zona azul en los 4.5, 58 y de poder romper estos 4.58, $5 vuelven a ser objetivo para nosotros. Yo creo que es bastante fácil, esta tabla es de las más fáciles que he visto en un rato. Voy a quitar esto. SUI, damas y caballeros. SUI puede tranquilamente, ¿qué es lo que ha estado haciendo? Este alto, este es un alto más alto. Después había hecho este alto, este mínimo, este alto, este mínimo. Y acá te había hecho como la finta que iba a ser bajista, luego es un alto más alto y ahora vas a buscar un bajo más alto. ¿Dónde te va a dar el bajo más alto? ¿Te gustaría idealmente verlo para no tener que aguantar tanto teatro? Literalmente donde está el precio, justamente el 409. Si puedes aguantar acá, y también donde estás, honestamente, esto, y empiezas a cerrar por encima del 409, que es lo que deberías de estar buscando en velas diarias, tienes 1, 2 y te encantaría que en 6 horas y 55 minutos fuera tu tercera. Eso volvería esto demasiado alcista. Ahora, SUI puede tranquilamente venir a corregir al 3.7 y puede venir a corregir y ser una mamada hasta por acá. Ahora, falta, a menos de que tengas un velazo súper negativo, esto debería ser esto, venir a encontrarse en los 3.2 por acá y eso catapultarte todavía más alto. Tienes este alto, alto más alto que este, y este mínimo, simplemente este sería el siguiente mínimo. Así que siempre y cuando no pierdas la zona de los 2.8, sí, porque no me importaría si te llevas este mínimo. Me gustaría que no lo hiciera por la rapidez, pero si te llevas este mínimo, no tienes tanto problema. Además de que desde que rompiste el SMA 200 a la alza, no lo has venido a retestear. Eso podría ser algo importante por acá en los 3.2. Si llegas a ver que llegas a los 3.2 acá, zona buena para acumular SUI y honestamente, sí, hasta los 2.8. Si llegas a perder los 2.8 en cualquier tipo de Wikazo, ahí diría que estamos completamente equivocados y que esto va a continuar bajando, pero tiene más cara de ser alcista que bajista por ahora, haciendo bajos más altos, altos más altos y buscando ir a buscar este máximo. Una vez más, 409 es lo que quieres a la alza, poder empezar a cerrar por encima de, y eso te debería llevar a altos históricos. Y por ahora, que te aguante mínimo los 3.2 sería una gran zona de oportunidad para volver a entrar a esta cosa. Ahí lo tienen, damas y caballeros. Mr. Farhan, instead of doing Apple, can you do, one second, URA? It's a uranium ETF. It's a Uranus ETF.
The green dildo up the Angus. Not much data for quarterly. I'll do monthly. All right. So monthly is at an extreme resistance point right around that 95%. You only have a 5% chance of continuation from here. If you do get a close over this area of $40.34, I would expect to move into the 97.5%. But when this candle does close, this will change. So wherever that area moves to, if it moves at all, is going to be what the next target is going to be after the close over the 95%. Right now, momentum is at extremes at 97%. Volatility is at extremes. The jewel has just started to give you a buy signal. It hasn't confirmed it just yet. If you close over about, what is this close? About $38.81, very likely it is going to confirm that jewel signal. But right now, overall, there is a more bearish signal with the pink crossing below the yellow. Basically right at the edge of the bullish control zone. So that would count as it flipping down in the bullish control zone. And it lines up with us at very, very extremes on the HPDR. The weekly is at even higher extremes, getting tapping the 100%. It tapped it once, twice, 3 times. And now, as long as you are below about $42.22, I would assume that the pressure is to the downside. Came very close at this point to invalidating the silver cross. That's what, and then invalidating that, it gave us the move up. Right now, momentum and volatility are at 100%, telling you very likely that the local top is most likely in. Weekly is also giving you a top candle, telling you that as long as you are below $42.22, more likely than not, you're going to come to a minimum of somewhere around $38. If you can hold that $38 area and grind out a higher low at this point, then and the HPDR levels step up on the higher term timeframes, then you could see another pump. But based off of this quarterly, ignore the HPDR. You have a close over here. I'd want to see a retest of this area and close over this area, which you would need the quarterly to grind out a higher low for a couple of candle closures for these ranges to step up. Friday. 5 days very similar to the weekly. 2 days also kind of looking topped. What would confirm it for me is a closure below this 5 EMA at about that same $40-ish, mid $40 level, $40.76. That'd bring you down to similar target of around $38. Momentum is currently flipped to the upside on the 2-day, getting right around the edge of the bullish control zone, and it's putting in bearish divergence because it is making a lower high for these momentum points. To confirm the bearish divergence, you would have to close below about $40.91. That gives you an easy target of that 21 EMA. That's slightly below $38. It's now at like $37.50. Daily is currently flipped to the downside of momentum. Getting right around that daily 9 EMA. Volatility is now contracting almost at extreme lows. The jewel is very close to giving you a bullish cross with the pink above the yellow, but it's not going to be a very powerful cross because it's happening very high in the bullish control zone. And you are now getting the bearish jewel signal with the dark blue oscillator. There's going to be possible hidden bullish divergence, however, in the daily because we are breaking these momentum lows while we still have a higher low. And as long as we are closing above about $36.20, there is going to be a possibility for hidden bullish divergence. Right now, you have to close above about $42.03 to confirm that on the daily. And that likely sends you to new all-time highs. Or not new all-time highs, but retesting the previous breakdown around the IPO. 4 hours also flipping down on momentum, just like the daily. Volatility is currently contracting, a little bit of OPM, although I don't think this low is going to hold, and I do think you're going to be retesting that $38 area. Confirmation, once again, is close on the at least a 4 hour basis below about $40.70. Go to RSI. Quarterly has fresh hidden bullish divergence confirmed by this previous candle close. We've already hit the easy target of the simple moving average. The next target is the critical zone. Volatility is not quite topped out yet, so it is very possible to hit the critical zone. I just don't think it's going to happen within this period, and this number is going to change slightly when the next candle closes. It is currently at about $67. Monthly. No divergence possible because we did make a slightly lower low on the price, and we don't have a higher low on momentum yet. Nothing. Weekly currently has active bullish divergence. I'd say it's arguable that it's played out considering how much we've moved up, and we're very high in the critical zone now. Same idea as the weekly. 3-day has that God mode sell signal on the jewel with the volatility contraction. Now you're going to get that mean reversion from up, which is down. 2-day is now about to put in another drive of bearish divergence. It will confirm with any close below about $40.91. You'll get an easy move from there to the neutral zone, which is at about $37.56. Very beautiful area. Daily is also putting in that bearish divergence, and it will confirm with any close below about $41.07. That will give you an easy target of the edge of the bullish control zone that lines up at about $39.42, and then the next target is the neutral zone at about $37. I like that $37 area.
Seems like the opportunity area.
At the very least, for a slight bounce, maybe even a reversal. 4 hours now also has confirmed bearish divergence. Very close to hitting the easy target at the neutral zone. That's at about $40.36. But what's more likely is the bearish control zone based on volatility expansion from extreme lows. Bearish control zone sits at, oh, nice, $38. Very cool. Quarterly momentum, especially flipping to the upside, rejecting the bearish, getting out of the bullish control zone. And we will be flipped up as long as we're closing over at $36.80. Monthly is also freshly flipped up, rejecting the bearish control zone. And we will be flipped up as long as we're closing over $26. 2 week is also flipped to the upside. with volatility at 2 periods of 100%, and we will be flipped up as long as we're closing over 36.90 or 37. Weekly is freshly flipped to the upside with volatility contraction, and we will be flipped up as long as we're closing over $40.76. This is very close to flipping down. Once we see that flip down, that's when we'll know we're going to get our consolidation period. That's pullback. 5 days currently flipped down with the volatility contracting, and you'll be flipped down as long as you're closing below 41.39. 2 days currently freshly flipped up with volatility expansion once again. Interesting. And you will be flipped down as flipped up as long as you're closing above 41.60. Still the same idea though, as long as the price is below 42.22, more likely than not to pull back. And daily kind of confirms that with already being flipped down as long as you're below 41.02. Four-hour as well is now freshly flipped to the downside with bearish divergence, and it's going to remain flipped down as long as you're closing below 41.67. That kind of basically confirms it for me that we're very likely not going to break 42.22. So the higher time frames are shaping up to be kind of bullish. We are breaking these previous higher lows that would give you a target for the next breakdown zone. You're getting momentum freshly flipping to the upside on the high time frames with the monthly and the quarterly. You have volatility expansion on the monthly, but you are hitting very extreme areas on the HPDR. You're getting very extreme momentum and volatility. Makes it very likely that from here you're going to see at least somewhat of a pullback as long as you're below 42.22, and the targets from those low time frame divergences and the hidden divergences and the regular divergences is somewhere around $37 to $38, and you could go a lot lower from there. I expect us to get at the very least a slight bounce. It's going to be maybe somewhere around like 5% to 10%, not that much of a bounce. And whether we're bullish or bearish, I do expect a rejection from there, retest of those areas, and that's when we decide whether it's going to break out or it's going to break down below these lows. I personally think we're going to get at the very least a test of this breakdown period around that $55 to $60. I don't think it's going to reverse the macro trend. From there, we'd have to reevaluate. But right now, on the low time frames, I would expect a test of somewhere around $38 to $37. If we can hold that area, then we should see a nice move up into somewhere around 50 to 60.
Well, very nice, senor. And you boys are fucking done. Go out there and enjoy your Monday. Go jerk off. Do whatever feels right. Whatever feels right.
Let's go.
Is there anything you boys want to add, look at before you go? Interesting, nice pullback on Bitcoin.
Yeah, still very valid the long. I'm still watching the daily. You are slightly under that 118, so you need to start seeing bulls step in soon rather than later. But that's kind of what we're watching today. I'm noticing we're not pulling back too far from 118, so there still is hopium. Just kind of want to watch that carefully. But yeah, nothing else. I'll update the Discord if anything changes.
Sounds motherfucking great. All righty, boys. Thank you so much for everything. I appreciate it.
Buenas tardes and hasta luego, muchachos.
Enjoy.
Peace out, boys.
Bye. Ok, ya me puedo quitar los audífonos. Qué raro. Siento que no estoy hablando con nadie. Bueno, es como siempre. Es como, como hablar con mi mujer, ¿no? Estamos viendo URA. URA es un ETF de uranio. Y esto fue lanzado en noviembre del 2010. Y podemos ver que hasta apenas había tocado fondo en el 2020. Porque recuerden, ¿para qué usas el uranio? ¿No? Le hicieron una publicidad pésima por cuánto tiempo y ahora todo el mundo está mega excitado por el uranio. Algo que habíamos visto sobre todo en esta estructura mensual, perdón, no me había dado cuenta que tenía la pluma. Algo que nos damos cuenta en esta estructura mensual es, después de haber encontrado este fondo, hemos estado en una tendencia agresiva alcista. Y esta tendencia agresiva alcista continúa haciendo mínimos más altos. Este es mínimo más alto, gandalla, porque por nada que estos, y continúa la alza. Además de eso, ¿qué otra cosa notan? Puedes ver que por primera vez estamos por encima del promedio del 100, pero bien, venimos a retestearlo y eso nos llevó hacia arriba. Eso fue un gran impulso a la alza. Tenemos también un cruce plateado justamente acá mensual que ocurrió en septiembre del 2021. Si hubieras comprado esto, el cruce plateado 2021 acá, voy a darte lo peor, ¿no? Lo más alto de la vela. Ahorita estarías 41% arriba en 3 años, 3 a 4 años. No muy bien, pero bien. O sea, solamente haber comprado eso. El retesteo del cruce es lo que te hubiera dado una buena lana. Y ahora estamos haciendo un nuevo alto local y vamos a ir a buscar muy probablemente, justamente ahorita lo que nos está rechazando es este mínimo de acá. Lo pueden ver. Una vez que rompamos justamente esto, esta zona de los 42.30, vamos a tener continuación a la alza y el siguiente objetivo debería ser esto, en los $65, justamente. Pero por ahora, viendo lo que estamos analizando, tiene cara de que hicimos piso por acá. Voy a rápidamente poner esto. Y puedes ver que también el HPDR está en extremos. Estamos en el 95%. Eso nos dice que necesitamos un poco de consolidación. Faltan 4 días y 3 horas para cerrar esto. Nos gustaría cerrar por encima del 40-34 si somos muy alcistas. Eso nos pondría por encima del 95% y nos pondría como objetivo los $47 siguientes. Bastante sencillo de entender. Por arriba de los 42 se pone demasiado alcista la cosa, ¿para qué te digo? También habías tenido, y lo vieron acá, tienes la expansión de volatilidad con momentum apuntando para arriba y volatilidad continúa subiendo y expandiendo. No le gusta estar tanto en extremos, lo hemos visto una vez, pero lo hemos visto llegar al 98% y estamos apenas en 82%. Eso nos debería de permitir dar continuación. Vamos a la de, wow, 2 semanas. 2 semanas, wow, estamos ya al 100% básicamente y también estás en extremos en volatilidad. Pero ve, aquí te los ha pintado en la de 2 semanas antes por un rato y eso también acompañado de estar en el 100% por un rato y llegando una vez más al 100% en el noviembre del 2021. Esto me dice que esta zona va a ser una zona importante de consolidación, muy probablemente hasta acá. Lo digo porque hasta acá, porque así de rápido puedo ver que aquí hay soporte que antes era resistencia, que no podíamos romper. Y ahí es donde yo me imagino regresaría la bala. Esto ayuda un poco más con esa idea. La parte alta de la zona azul está en 37.89, casi los $38, y un retroceso a esa zona sería perfecto para crear un bajo más alto que el de antes y aquí poder dar continuación a la alza. Diaria, lo pueden ver, estamos cayendo a la media y la parte baja de la zona azul está en los 39, el 61.8% está en 38 y el promedio del 34, que no ha tocado en no sé cuánto tiempo, está en 37.78. La última vez que lo tocamos fue en abril del 2025 en la diaria y eso sería simplemente un retesteo de esta zona si es que se llega a dar, creando un nuevo mínimo más alto y después dar continuación a la alza. Yo creo que está bastante fácil, honestamente, esta tablilla. Déjenme quito el HPDR para no hacerles tanto desmadre por acá y confundirlos. Semanal. Semanal tiene buena pinta. Lo que estamos viendo es muy probablemente esto. Periodo de consolidación hasta los $37 por acá. Encontrarnos con esta zona. No llevarte este mínimo y esto debería darte simplemente continuación para poder hacer esto. Permitir que el tiempo, ahora sí que la tabla respire para que pueda continuar subiendo sin estar en extremos y pues a continuar para arriba. ¿Dónde estamos equivocados? Si te llegas a llevar los 33 para abajo. 33 para abajo sería una mala señal y después los 26. Ese sería el fin de todo. Si llegas a tener un wicazo por debajo de los 26, eso sería completamente negativo y me saldría instantáneamente. Cierres semanales por debajo del 33 también es un adiós. Por ahora, esto tiene cara de ser bastante alcista y dar continuación, de querer dar continuación alcista, definitivamente. Y ahí lo tienen, damas y caballeros. Justamente, ahí estamos. Déjenme, regreso por acá. Y ahí está. Lo tienen todo listo y acabado. Ahora sí, en un rato nos vemos para un Nadie Me Preguntó. Ya puedo volverlo a hacer, ya no me duele el cuello, ya no me estoy muriendo como antes. Y los voy a ver en un rato para todo esto. Gracias a todos ustedes que nos acompañaron el día de hoy, que nos pidieron algo en las gráficas. Gracias a Eder, Ramón, Leonardo, Jonah, Eder, Luigi, a todos ustedes que están acá en el chat de Elite Trading Academy. Se les aprecia muchísimo. Gracias por estar siempre con nosotros. Y a todos ustedes también, porque están gastando tiempo de su verano delicioso en aprender algo con nosotros o divertirse con nosotros escuchando todas las pendejadas que digo. Les mando un fuerte abrazo. Gracias a todos ustedes por acompañarnos. Pórtense bien. Nos vemos en la próxima. Claro que sí. Soy Jorge Nitales y Alma María Rico. ¿Se acuerdan de esos güeyes? Toda la gente está de güey.